Chime in, guys. All right, so Jay, the corpse, the windshield wiper motor attached to the corpse makes it. Oh, wait, sorry, we're on. We're good.
What?
Thank you.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
They're not ready for that, Bob.
Okay, but
You're not ready for that.
Can we see the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, is it do the stupid ad thing again?
your ad block is
My
up to
ad
date.
block. Our ad block is working. Okay, hi chat. Hold on. Wait.
We're coming. We'll be
hold
right
on.
there.
The chat's
We'll be
there.
right
I
there.
swear
Welcome to the
they're-
Wednesday live stream.
Welcome to the Wednesday. Yeah, we got to do the actual intro. Here's the music. What? No, it's not. There's the music. Welcome, everybody. It is June 11th, 2025. The world is not on fire. Everything's fine. And today I forgot to fill that out, but we'll do the first part. RF music. Junior strikes again, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. There's something WIB at the end. I don't know what
Women
that
in
means.
black?
Women in black. Yes, that's women wearing black clothes. That's what that is. And there's a bunch of other stuff. We'll get to it. Don't worry. How's chat doing? Is chat okay? Oh, wait.
I'm not seeing anything in the
You're
chat.
right. Hold on. Chat, you're there. I know you're there because there's 112 of you there. Let me refresh this, and you'll be there for real. Talk amongst yourselves while I do that.
So I have 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not a
Before I
weeks.
retire.
Not a
2 weeks.
Oh God, Steve, that's got
Wow,
And
2
then-
weeks, man.
I know. And then the hope is that this Wednesday live stream we're going to start like reliably at 12.
Yes.
Because now my clinic can go into that. It's hard to start right at 12. But when that's not an issue. So we'll try to get more predictable with like the start time. Like 12 o'clock on the dot will be the goal.
Yeah, I'll just sleep here on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I'll just wake up and okay.
And then, of course, we'll be announcing what other content
Oh.
will be coming out
Oh.
with.
Secrets.
So the,
that aren't that secret, and everybody
The
probably knows.
Marines were deployed
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going there
into
already?
California.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the it's a horrible
Kara's
thing.
fine. Kara's fine.
Kara's fine, but I mean it's an
LA is massive, by the way. So, go ahead.
but still, I mean it's only been done twice before.
Oh yeah.
And this is a different situation.
Oh right. The National Guard was called in to protect protesters, I think, right? In Selma? Was that where it was?
Well, the
64?
JFK did it, and Lincoln did it. Lincoln did it because of the Civil War,
Are you talking about the Marines?
and JFK did it for
JFK?
World War. Yeah, for
What?
civil
the-
rights.
no. It
No,
wasn't
that was-
JFK.
that was-
No, it was done during World War II. It wasn't
And
JFK.
it wasn't JFK.
Chat,
Yeah,
tell us.
Roosevelt?
We're watching TikTok too. Don't worry, chat.
So the point is that this was something that a friend of mine said to me. He said, if
Is this friend on Facebook?
Yes, he said if the administration deploys any of our military into any state, that is a crystal clear sign that things have gone completely sideways.
Well, isn't it the key component that the mayor didn't request
governor.
it? The governor didn't
The
request
governor
it.
didn't
Didn't want
want
it.
it.
That's
Not
the-
only did he not request it, he said, "Do not do it. We don't
Yeah.
need it."
Because
It was
they
on-
are federalized, right? The,
They
National
federalized
Guard.
the National Guard, which did happen in the civil rights era. But that was completely different. That was
Right,
because the
LBJ,
state was
that's what it was.
violating the Supreme Court, and
That's
it
what it
was
was.
done to protect people.
Right.
Here, I mean, the thing is, we kind of knew this was going to happen. That Trump was going to use some pretext, because this is what he's been doing this whole, the last 6 months, whatever. Just find some pretext to do the thing he wants to do anyway, right? And it's all like transparent bullshit. So in this case, you had peaceful protests with the usual, anarchists around the edges and criminals. You know what I mean?
That's like-
That's
Yeah,
always going to be.
they should be arrested. For
And
sure.
the police were dealing with it just fine. But Trump saw it as an opportunity to send in the troops, because this is what he wants. He wants to test his ability to do
Yeah,
this.
and he wants to make it common so we get
Yeah.
used to it. And
Yep.
the point is that he's labeling protesters,
Right.
which is freedom of speech. He's labeling protesters as, illegal aliens and criminals and all this shit, which it's bullshit.
It's authoritarianism. This is
Yep.
this
And
is-
it's
it's
and
right
it's
out of
and
the-
it's hitting hard, and it's getting worse. And what can we do about it? We can go out and protest, but then the military is going to come.
Not
I think we
necessarily.
I think we need to continue to protest.
Yeah,
though.
you gotta keep
definitely.
Can't send the
Yes.
military into every state. And of
Oh, you
course,
saw they were sleeping on the ground. I don't know if you saw that tweet. I think Newsom sent it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Where it's like the National Guard is sleeping on concrete because they have no place to stay, because nothing is coordinated in an intelligent way, and they have no food. And so they're also being kind of abused in this situation while they are doing.
no,
some
and the military
abusing.
itself is being put in a no-win situation.
Of course, yeah, they have to
Yeah.
Yeah,
just follow orders.
I saw a protester yelling at the Marines.
Oh yeah.
And he was saying, he's basically saying, you guys are on the wrong side of this. You should be over here with us, and you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, man, it's so much more complicated than that. You could get shot if you're in the military and you don't do what you're supposed to do. It's a system that needs to be in place, but with the wrong leadership, it's horrible. Anyway, I didn't intend this to be a big thing, but I have to say it. We have to talk about it. It's like, how could we not mention the fact that U.S. troops have been deployed on U.S. soil? It's fucking crazy, but it is what it is.
Yeah. As far as I've seen, I think they're just there also to protect ICE doing its raids. It seems like that's what they're not really actively going against protesters. But they are standing in front of federal buildings, like National Guard, because that's what they're allowed to do.
Yeah.
Although the LAPD gets a little trigger happy on their own side, so that's a different issue. Somebody was saying, y'all said that you used to say the pod wasn't political. Little did you know, politics would align itself to be so fully anti-science and basic anti-reality.
Yeah, and then again, to clarify, I often say it's not that we're not political. We are
Political, right,
nonpartisan.
right.
We're not pushing any particular partisan ideology or perspective, but we talk about issues that crisscross with politics and religion all the time. Again, we're not anti-faith, but if religious groups claim that evolution isn't true, that's a scientific claim.
Yeah.
We are not partisan, but if one political party says that global warming isn't happening, well, that's a scientific
Yeah.
claim.
Yeah.
And we get involved
And
with that.
therefore, yeah.
But we also, on the live streams, we're
yeah,
talking.
so this is looser.
It's
So last year's a little bit more
loosey-goosey,
loose, but
not
also
the
we are,
podcast.
I think, unapologetically pro-democracy. I think
Yeah.
we could say that.
Whoa, sounds woke, Steve. I don't know.
I mean, I know,
Kinda
whatever, that
crazy.
should not be controversial.
People power. I don't know.
Steve,
Yeah.
I saw videos, because I watched the internet. I watch all the internet, by the way.
Yeah, all of the internet.
Too much.
So, I don't know if it's actually
internet.
anonymous. I mean, I don't even really know how you could clearly define who is and who isn't anonymous. Basically, anybody wearing the Guy Fawkes mask with ominous music playing and a changed voice is anonymous, right? But anyway,
The hacker group, you mean?
the thing that I find interesting is the message that they're saying is, I mean, every time I hear this type of thing happen where they're basically giving like a 2-minute speech about what's going on. It's saying they're saying all the right stuff. You know, they're saying, you know, how essentially like, you know, this is an oligarchy. Like, you know, the United States is set up for the rich to succeed and to make money and to squeeze the middle and lower class and all that. Like, I mean, if that isn't clear now, you know, if people
Well, that is true pretty much universally throughout human history. If you look, you know, again, I've read good articles and books about like looking at history from the point of view of just long, sort of broad brushstroke trends, like not like who was king when, but more of what are the patterns that we could see in history. And one is that in pretty much every society, people with money and power use their money and power to secure more money and power.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just kind of an inevitable trend.
And you know what? You know,
Unless you do something specifically to prevent that or mitigate it. But at some point, the society gets to a breaking point. And then one of two things happen. Either there needs to be some power and wealth redistribution, or you have revolution and the cycle starts over again.
and you know what Yoda says about all this?
What does he say?
What do you say?
There is no try?
Fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hate, and
Hate leads to the dark side.
and hate leads to the dark side. And it's clearly, Steve, there's a Sith in our government now. I mean, it's crystal clear to me.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for one of them to accidentally turn on a red lightsaber, and then we'll know for sure.
Well, you know, when
That's better.
well, I forget what it was about. On Star Wars Day, the White House put
Poor
out
Jay.
promoted this picture like of a buff Trump in
Yeah.
robes with a lightsaber.
Oh yeah, but
And
the
he had a red lightsaber.
Yeah.
They don't even do the
They
research.
don't even care.
I mean, so you said
don't
they
even
said
do
Trump's a
the
Sith.
research.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They can't.
You know,
So
and if you
Sith.
can't get your Star Wars lore correct, people, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
No, I think they did
That's
get
the
it
most-
correct.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
somebody knew it.
Yeah, I don't know. They're the wrong kind of nerds. They're like Reddit nerds. They're not.
What?
They're not space nerds. No, I mean the people in the government, not people. All right, whatever.
What's a Reddit nerd?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right, let's move on to some freaking topics.
Okay.
So, Steve, you talked about some guy,
Yeah.
some
RFK
Jr.
Why can't we
Oops.
just say it? He is one of our this fucking guy.
Oh yeah, he is one
This
of our
fucking guy
Oh.
over here. So yeah, I mean,
Hold
this is the
know
latest
why this is not
nonsense
showing.
Hello?
coming
There we
out
go.
of the
Sorry.
Health and
Hello.
Human Services HSS secretary. This is, I have to give David Gorski props here because 4 months ago,
He called it?
February,
He called it?
100% called it, right? So he wrote an article about like how are how could RFK Jr. screw with vaccines in the U.S. Because he said, I'm not going to take anybody's vaccines away. Like he basically lied through his teeth during his confirmation hearing.
Yep.
Yep.
But he said, yeah, but he may not like ban specific vaccines, but there's so many things he could do as HHS secretary in order to reduce Americans' access to and uptake of vaccines. And he's doing all of them systematically.
Yeah, and so what's going to happen, right? Like we said, Steve, because when
Yeah.
we, you know, when we realized that he's entering this position, what we were saying was that we are going to see a very crystal clear uptick in diseases in the United
yeah.
States.
Mhm.
And then, and I can't help but be curious, right? Like, so what happens when measles, like, gets a foot? Measles is outside of Texas now.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's been for a while.
You know, so what happens when that hits really hard and
it'll-
kills?
They won't care. They'll just double down.
But this is the part that bothers me. I know what RFK is going to do, and I know what Trump is and isn't going to do. But it's the people. It's the people who are watching all of this in slow motion, right? Every day, more and more. It gets crazier and crazier, and more shit's happening and more shit's happening. And you know, when does it hit critical mass for
don't
people
know.
who voted for Trump to go,
Not yet.
holy shit? Like what? This isn't what I voted for. This is not what I want.
So there's basically, let me finish with just really quickly
go.
in caps, because we're going to talk about it in more detail on the show when we record tonight. But what he did was, what David said is one of the things he can do is there's a panel of 17 experts that basically reviews all of the scientific evidence and makes the CDC's official recommendations for the vaccine schedule and who should get which vaccines. And then they have staggered terms, usually just a few years. Like over the next 4 years, he could have replaced everyone on that panel. And he said, or he could just, if he doesn't have the patience to do that, he could just fire them all.
Yeah.
Which is what he just did.
Yep.
He
Yep.
fired the entire panel, clean slate. Now he gets to appoint all 17 people on the panel, and he's going to pack it with anti-vaxxers and cranks. So we're not going to see any new vaccines approved. We're going to see a walk back of approval for maybe not approval, but recommendation of vaccines, which means insurance companies won't have to pay for them. And of course, he's already walking back messaging to the public about who should get what vaccines, either just like emphasizing informed consent, or personal choice, rather than the safety and efficacy of specific vaccines, and also just like we're no longer recommending the COVID vaccine for children or for pregnant women, just watering down the recommendations. We know not too long ago he cut funding for the mRNA bird flu vaccine.
Wow, great,
Right?
awesome.
Oh yeah, because let's cut funding for a vaccine for probably the most likely next pandemic. So we'll see when that hits. So again, the question is not if he's going to result in people dying, but how many people
Yeah,
is
of course.
going to kill.
And
it will be in the millions. It will be in the millions.
And will that many people dying, just like COVID, will that many people dying change anybody's opinion on
All right.
this administration?
So you say anybody, of course, yes. So
Yeah, when I say anybody, I'm talking about
People
a
who-
lot of
A
people.
critical mass.
people who
Enough
voted for
people,
Trump,
no.
people who voted for Trump in 2024 fell into two basic categories. This is a gross oversimplification, but this is one way this is what the evidence shows, right? So there are the Trump true believers, right? They are in the cult of Trump. They're not going anywhere. They will believe whatever gaslighting bullshit the White House
The
puts
real
out.
Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, they will believe whatever nonsense they is put out. But then there's the low information voters. And I'm not saying that like as an insult. That is the term, right? These are people who are disengaged, who just do not know a lot about politics, do not follow the news, do not follow politics, who are voting mainly on vibes, right? Those people were key to Trump's victory in 2024. He would not have won without them. Those people are moving away from Trump very quickly. So that will likely, and even if it's just to the point where they don't vote, where they disengage
Right.
again, so that will
So he
probably
won't get voted for a third term. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but that does have probably pretty big implications for 2026,
Right.
in terms of the
My God.
midterms.
As if a fair election's going to happen.
I mean, we'll see, obviously. I think it will. I think that there will be Trump will do what he always does. He'll say things with plausible deniability, and there'll be rumblings. Maybe he'll actually try to do some things. I'm sure there will be voter suppression. There's always been voter suppression. That will continue. The question is he going to do things like saying we can't have an election because there's rioting and whatever? Like is he going to just come up with some pretext to delay the election or to cancel the election or whatever?
He certainly could. Absolutely. I mean, that's not unlikely. I don't think.
Somebody said, SGU does not sound balanced at all nowadays. Okay, so first of all, this is my personal opinion, not necessarily, Steve's opinion or Bob's opinion, but balanced meaning what? Like,
You want false balance?
Should we talk about all the terrible things that the Democrats have done in the last 15 years? Like, yeah, there's things, absolutely, and I found out something recently that completely blew my mind about the Democrats, which I sadly I cannot say it, but I did find out something that really disturbed me about some bullshit that the Democrats did, and I'm using that.
Well, listen, we are nonpartisan. We are actually nonpartisan.
Wait, let me finish my thought though. But what do you want me to do? What do you want us to do? Like, yeah, okay, well, fucking Biden could have done a better job with Afghanistan, and then we could start talking about that, or his foreign policy. Well, what about troops being deployed in U.S. states? What about the fact that our healthcare is literally going down the toilet as we speak, day after day after day? I mean, there are things that are so much unbelievably more important to talk about right now than trying to do some false equivalency here between the Democrats and the Republicans. We are in a situation where one political party has gone to the absolute extreme And I'm not saying there's not extremists on the other side, and they are.
But
And
good and balanced on
There's no
both
extremists
sides.
on there's no extremists on the
That's a
Democratic
ridiculous.
side.
it's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's like
ridiculous.
saying, hey, we're going to do a news
Wow.
program, talk about vaccines, and we have to give anti-vaxxers the same amount of time and consideration as we
Wow.
do about scientists who spent the last 30 years of their lives developing vaccines. So I'm sorry, I'm pushing back. Blinks is just, I don't care. It's a good point to make. Yeah, even if the guy's a troll or not. It's a good point to make.
Well,
No, but this happens to me
posi-
online all the time. Like
Yeah.
people are saying, well, you're so anti-Trump. I'm like, well, yeah, of course I'm anti-Trump. Trump is anti-science. He's anti-intellectual. He's anti.
grifter.
There's so many bad things about this guy.
Don't-
Why
don't-
would I waste my time talking about shitty Democrat politicians who don't even register on Trump's
The thing is, it's not that we're like personally anti-Trump. We are anti-grifter. We are anti-con artist. We are anti-pseudoscientist. We are anti-conspiracy theorist. We are anti-vaxxer. Trump just happens to be all of those things.
Oh, uh-oh.
So also, he's the
it's
president.
Trump.
We're going to talk about the current president more than we're going to be talking about people who are not currently in power. Plus, he's not a normal president. This is not a normal administration. What's happening now is not normal. It's unprecedented.
Dude, I'm
and
not
it's-
blinded
it's
by
worth
my
talking
emotion.
about.
I didn't get to where I am. The idea of you saying that I'm blinded by emotion, like I can have emotion and also have an intellectual thread happening at the same time. I know exactly what my emotions are doing, right? But I didn't come to these conclusions sitting at my home screaming at the wall and consuming bullshit that's on the other side. I have been studying this for a decade. I've been taking my time. I've been reading an extraordinary amount of information. I've learned more about the government in the last 10 years than I could ever hope to have gotten to.
We have not made any ad hominem attacks. Calling somebody who is a conspiracy theorist is not an ad hominem.
No, he's talking about in the chat. Chat, don't dogpile on Blinks. Blinks is fine to ask.
No, I'm not.
Anyway,
I'm not. No, it's all
I don't
good.
wanna-
But
I don't
let
wanna
me-
go down
Let's
this rabbit
close the
hole too
loop with
much
him
more.
real quick, though. I just want
Let
to
me
make
do
it
it.
clear, dude. I'm glad. Thank you for appreciating the work that we're doing. But I have so many people like telling me that I am absolutely blind by my anger and I am unapproachable and all that stuff. Based on reality, it is based on what is happening. I'm not making these things happen. I'm watching them happen, and I'm responding to the fact that. We're guys, we've watched Trump in the last 4 months disassemble the U.S. government. You know what I mean? Like, it happened. So what's the point? The point is we have to push back. Yeah, I'm emotional about watching what's happening to my
We
country.
can get passionate and still be rational and not be like blinded by emotions.
Right.
But again, and again, not calling you a troll, but that's what trolls do is they sort of say things to make you upset, then say, well, you're irrational because you're upset. That is classic troll behavior. So just don't do that if you don't want to be called a troll. We are not being irrational because we're passionate about democracy, about science, about reason, about evidence-based government, about intellectual legitimacy and honesty. The thing that galls me about the Trump administration is their constant gaslighting of the American people.
Yeah.
Constant gaslighting. Let me give you one example. And it is when the press secretary, was asked about banning the Associated Press from the White House because they referred to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of Mexico. Her response was classic gaslighting. She said, "It's the Gulf of America. That's just a fact. And if somebody denies facts, they don't belong in the White House."
It's like
press
rewriting
pool.
history and
Wow.
trying to.
Is it just a fact? Is that just a fact that it's the Gulf of
Wow.
America now? Because one person said that it is. It's actually not a fact. He doesn't have the authority internationally to decide for the world what that Gulf is. There is a process for that. He didn't. He bypassed it. What his declaration that it's the Gulf of America is not legitimate at all. And so, in the Associated Press, which works around the world, was sticking with the worldwide consensus on that's called. But they said, well, it's just a fact that it's the Gulf of America, and they're denying facts. That's the kind of bullshit
Wow.
intellectual dishonesty that, yes, gets me upset. That doesn't mean I'm irrational because I'm legitimately upset about upsetting things. right? So don't try to make it seem like because we're showing a little bit of human emotion that somehow that's an ad hominem, by the way. Trying to dismiss our opinion not on facts or logic or evidence, but because what we're saying it a little bit emotionally or a little bit passionately is bullshit.
Yeah.
And that is why people are pushing back against you, and you should need to take a careful look at that tactic because that's not legitimate. Anyway, let's talk about some science
Okay.
Yeah.
or some pseudoscience.
I don't know, Steve. I think I'm too emotional to talk about science. I have to excuse myself
Nice
until I
and
calm
even
down, and
balanced
then,
debate.
then I
That's
can
so
talk.
stupid. Okay, I was giving Splinks the benefit of the doubt. I think you're in the wrong camp, bro. You can hate the Democrats, like they suck too, but let's focus on what's happening right now. Also, anyway, what are we talking about? We got other shit. Did you hear about
What?
Did you hear about this thing? Okay, let's see what this guy has to say.
Want to hear something pretty weird?
Yeah.
What?
So, hundreds of flowers were vandalized at the University of Michigan this week, like 2 days ago. All these flowers were vandalized. Isn't that weird? Why would that be weird? That's just some drunk kids, probably, right? Yeah, but that's where they caught the Chinese couple smuggling the fungus, the Last of Us fucking infectious
Cordyceps.
fungi, bro. Oh yeah,
Zombies, Bob.
that is kind of
Zombies.
weird. I wouldn't worry about it though, because if there was something tied to that, I mean, I'm sure the government and the authorities would tell us, right?
Somebody tagged us in that. I don't know. They were like, for Bob, the zombies are coming.
Cordyceps, baby.
Cordyceps. It's
In
happening.
a lot of ways, I enjoy that more than what's going on now.
I'm not sure what that was about, but apparently there was some vandalism that happened to those flowers, but I don't know if that relates to some zombie apocalypse.
I mean, I know
Poison
that
women.
obviously that's a joke. It's
Yeah.
obviously meant for humor, but if you look at
But I
just
don't know.
the logic and the evidence and the format, it's no different than pretty much any other TikTok video.
Yeah.
Spouting conspiracy nonsense.
And unfortunately, the comments seem to side with the dude in the worst way. Biological warfare is a real thing. The damn government are the ones who probably hired them 6 days ago, okay? It feels like it's been a huge amount of pollen falling around this year.
There is a lot of pollen. You want to know why? Here's another thing. And then whenever I see these, again, we go through a lot of crazy ass TikTok videos. We pick the ones that there's something interesting to talk about. But for a lot of them, people make an observation, then they jump to some bullshit conspiracy nonsense. They're lying to you. When in fact there's an interesting explanation for the observation. So there is a lot more pollen around these days.
It's increased?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has increased.
I didn't notice.
Do you know why?
No.
There's a very good reason why, and it's because of human activity. And so this is why. So when people are planting, like the city we're going to plant a bunch of trees on the streets, right? They don't want female trees because they drop fruit, and then they have to clean them up. So they plant all male trees, and male trees produce pollen.
Yeah.
So we're planting way more pollen-producing trees just so that you don't have to clean up the fruit dropped by
Wait, give
the
me
female
an
trees.
example of a female tree and a male tree.
Yeah, or any fruiting tree has male and female,
Buds, yeah.
Okay.
right? Some have both, parts together, but
So there's pear trees that don't have pears.
I don't. So I don't remember off the top of my head if they have, because again, some trees have male and female parts, right?
Right.
But like for example, I have blueberries. I needed to plant a male blueberry bush and a female
Holy
blueberry
crap.
bush.
Wait, did you plant male banana plants? Was that the problem?
But banana plants.
Just checking.
So some
Just
You think they
checking.
would
Yeah.
be male, am I right? You
they're
think
gender
they
neutral,
would?
Bob.
All right.
So anyway, that is why we are planting mostly male trees in order to reduce. And these are not necessarily fruits that you would even eat. Just like we don't want them dropping a bunch
Right.
of stuff on the streets. So it's producing more pollen.
Bob,
All right.
Bob, are you understanding this?
I never heard of male and female
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I learned
So
something.
you learned something.
I did.
as
man.
opposed to
And
it's
that's
a
why we do
conspiracy.
it.
They
Right.
or whatever
And that's
trying
why
to kill
we
us.
do it.
Apparently, it's called Monoecious, I think, and Dioecious. Dioecious.
Monoecious versus
Monoecious
dioecious.
is like has both, and most trees are apparently monoecious, but there are some that have separate completely. Let's see if I have any examples. Ash is a ginkgo, and holly are dioecious. Dioecious, whatever. So there you go. Botanical sexism is the term that refers to the idea that cities prioritize male trees, potentially leading to increased pollen in the air and a perception of allergies worsening. So there's that possible explanation, maybe. Who knows?
Interesting. All right.
All right, let's move on to another weird one. Let's see if I have. Okay, so what about? Have you seen this? What is NASA hiding? Now you see this photo. NASA engineer supposedly.
Yeah.
Don't you just love these old NASA photos of them
That's not
working
how you
on
saw it, by the
motherboards
way.
there? Look, she's obviously soldering something there. Or is she? Because if you've got a second
just a
eyeball,
photo.
you'll notice something that's
Yeah,
a
it's a
little
photo.
bit out
NASA
of
thing was
place.
photoshopped.
Like her hand.
Yeah, that
Let
doesn't
me
look real at all.
impose that for you. There it is. You
That would
notice
be a
what's
little
going
hot,
on
wouldn't it?
there?
That would be a
yeah,
little-
she's got
little spicy.
basically supersonic hands that don't know heat.
Supersonic hands.
Yeah, obviously this is an ex-woman here at NASA. That's what they employ. They only employ people that are fireproof. Yeah, because this girl is obviously holding that soldering iron there and doesn't feel any of it. Her skin isn't burning off. She's looking like she's doing her job normal there. But, or is it just a photo op and she picked it up and thought she'd, just show us and didn't actually hold it the correct way because she's never done it in her life before. Yeah, could it be that? Could it be that when you buy in sellouts into your company because they need to toe the line, you don't actually get the genius effect, do you? Now, you get what is available is the best way to say it, folks, and that is NASA for you.
So can you believe that NASA posted that picture? Can you?
Did they?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
it's a it's a stock image that somebody superimposed the NASA little logo on her, and it's just a weird, stock image. Where
Yeah, I figured there was an
somebody
actor
who didn't know.
taking a stock image, didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah,
It's funny how accurate the human eye can be. I mean, I could tell that was Photoshopped the
Yeah.
second I saw it. And part of it was that it wasn't following the very slight contour
Yep.
of her shirt. Like, you could just, that straight line doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which if you take you 10 seconds to learn how to fix that problem in Photoshop. But
this is apparently beautiful woman repairing soldering,
Right.
soldering a printed circuit board,
or melting her right hand.
Yeah,
That's more like it.
burning her hand, her skin. So that's
I
fun.
mean, you could see how somebody would think that's how you hold it if you have
Sure.
no idea
If you
how
have
it
no
works.
idea. Yeah, like a pencil.
You
Yeah.
got to
'Cause
hold
it's like-
the handle there in your mouth.
But you quickly learn again. Oh gosh. Okay, Splink, you're being crazy.
Yeah,
now.
guys, just
chill
settle
out.
down in there.
Just chill out.
Look, I understand. Like, a lot of people jump on the bandwagon and all that. We clarified our position. We said our
Yep,
piece.
move on.
Yeah.
No, but people
Relax.
are giving him pressure in there. Like,
Yeah,
let's just
don't-
let it go, guys.
You don't need to dogpile on
Let
it.
it go. Let's have some fun.
He's being a silly Billy.
Ian's got some crazy shit.
Yeah, let's
lined
get
up
some
for
crazy
us.
shit. Here, let's do
Let's
some
talk
jokes.
about my shirt. This
Okay.
is my Pirates of the Caribbean shirt. Now, we got this in Florida when we were.
Take your hand off them so people can see it. Look. There you go.
So the Pirates of the Caribbean has a famous merchandise right after the ride, right?
Right.
So I've been going there since the 70s.
Correct.
So I get grumpy if I don't buy something in
Yeah,
that
you have to
store.
buy
I gotta buy
something.
something. So I got Steve and Jay actually they had a cool new pirate coin.
Yes.
Which was really nice.
And I have it
So
and I love
so
it.
I got that. But did we talk about this? The merchandise for a lot of these Disney places are just so in your face and like overtly, just like big, gaudy.
Gaudy.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
get in the bike.
It's just like the stores have just you look at all the clothing that they have for sale and it's like I would never buy that because it's just too gaudy and I don't know who they're
I
aiming
did buy
it
a
for.
cap.
Yeah, those are it's hard to be super ridiculously gaudy up front a cap, although they do achieve that.
They
But
do achieve that, but this was good. It just had a little.
Yeah, but they had like a dozen different pirate shirts that for guys, and they were all just like, I would never wear that in
Yeah.
public. Even
I know,
I
I
wouldn't
know.
wear that. This is
But
more
Bob,
understated.
We're
and
not the target audience anymore, man.
I know.
When we were, in Disney age range, man, they were selling really cool skulls and all sorts of stuff.
I
Like,
still have skulls that I bought in the 70s.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
The pirate skull and the other skull, they don't sell anything that good there. If it's really amazing stuff, it's usually on the shelf that's not even meant to be purchased, which is really frustrating. But oh well,
it's all good
Thought
because
I'd
I'm happy.
segue.
I'm happy. I only bought myself one thing on this whole trip. I only bought myself one thing.
All right, we got a really good question.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Chat.
go ahead,
Are you
Steve.
guys going to do any more Alpha Quadrant 6?
Yes, we
Now,
are.
real question. There we go.
What
Yes,
do you
we
think,
are.
guys? Yeah, we are.
Should we?
Steve retires in 2 weeks. Now look,
2 weeks.
I know you're anxious for all the new content that's coming, but it's coming. And just trust me, it's going to be fun. We're gonna, we have some fun things. We have some very serious things for new content.
Right.
So AQ6 is in the queue, but it's not. Doesn't getting a super high priority because we have one of our projects is very, very much going to take up all of our time.
But
for a little while.
but we're going to definitely do it over the summer.
Yeah, we'll
Like,
get
over
to
the
it.
summer we will get to a new season of Alpha Quadrant 6, and we have a new theme for the next season.
Yes, we do.
Should we tell them what it is?
Yeah, I tell
We
them,
can tell
of
'em.
course.
We're gonna focus on
Nudity in science fiction.
Okay.
the science of
I don't
science
remember
fiction. We're just
signing
going
up
to deconstruct the science in science fiction, either movies, TV shows, literature, whatever. Like
Along with interviews that probably won't fit into that. Just to,
we always will do
yeah.
do that.
'Cause
sort
I
of
have some
thing.
people already in the works.
Yeah.
I saw the sequel. I know Bob saw the sequel to Callister on Black Mirror. Did you see it yet, Jay?
Not yet.
Oh, man.
But I want to see it. 'Cause
Fun. So great to see that.
they
Or,
did
you
such
know-
a good job at that.
Oh
that
man,
particular
they
one.
did, and the second one is, I don't want to spoil it, but a lot of fun. Definitely, if you liked, even remotely liked that first
Yeah.
Callister episode from
They
Black
they
Mirror.
deepened the lore. It was
Yeah.
good. It's hard. You're never going to capture the magic of a first episode
Right.
like that, but it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I love watching writers expand the lore of something that because you have one half-hour episode or however long it was. Like the lore is like super narrow. You know what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, my favorite things, some of my favorite storytelling things about Star Wars, isn't the retread of 7, 8, and 9 and all that. It's
So the more it's one of those things like at first you see it, you're like, oh, this is kind of fun. It's a new Star Wars trilogy. But the more you think about it, the more you hate it. 'Cause it was just so bad.
yeah.
It was just the execution was so freaking horrible.
But the
we
things-
did an episode on that, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked about it. The things that we really liked, as a quick example, were like The Mandalorian and we liked
Yeah.
Andor.
Andor's the best
Because-
Star Wars property.
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
We
That's
don't need to, as much as I would love to see more Luke Skywalker, particularly after movie 6. I want to see the universe expanded in a way that Andor does perfectly.
Yeah.
Right, because it fills in some gaps. You learn. We're seeing new people, new places, new circumstances that were not dialed in. Every good universe
Yeah.
needs there to be horizontal growth in the.
I think
Yeah,
it's,
but
it's a
I-
big galaxy, right?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is,
there's unlimited stories you could tell within that galaxy, and plus, the Force, for whatever it is, that's your main sort of unifying plot element of the Star Wars genre. There's so many stories you could tell within that. Like the Jedi and the Sith are not the only Force game in town. They kind of refer to, like, make mention of like Force use outside of the Jedi paradigm, but they don't really get into it. And there's just so much unexplored in that universe.
Yep.
But that said,
Yeah.
how much? Do you remember the episode of Mandalorian with Luke and Grogu training?
Yeah,
Remember
God, it was
that?
it was
amazing.
awesome.
How about something with those three? Mandalorian, Grogu, and Luke.
You know,
the new Luke. Come on, I want that.
Bob,
even
of
if
course,
it's a,
the response was awesome. Like
killed it.
everybody, all the fans that I have access to online and people that I know, and everybody universally was like, "Oh my God, that was freaking awesome!" The technology is there now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mark Hamill did his voice, and they had the deep fake software that they were using really worked
Right.
better the second time they did it. Now imagine it's been a couple of years now.
Right.
It's even better now.
Come on, remember when Luke decimated those black?
That was awesome.
Those black stormtroopers,
Yep.
a robot that. I'm still looking for a good figure of those, by the way.
Yeah, but that was
I
actually,
even loved it in Rogue
3D
One
print those.
when Darth Vader was just, he was
slicing
through
right-
the rebellion.
I saw Rogue One with Liz just because we finished the we finished the series. Oh yeah, it does. It's so rewarding to watch it and to
After
really
Andor.
it's so fleshed out now. It's fantastic.
Right
Oh,
up
and
until
guys, I can't
that's-
remember the name. And Steve,
Yeah.
you're going to want to hear this.
Yeah.
There are 2 Star Wars games. One, the second one just dropped. Guys, help me out. What's it? It's the guy with the red hair who's a Jedi, and they just came up with the.
A red-haired Jedi.
There's no soul.
No,
in
no,
that.
someone will know what the name of the game is. I can't remember, but basically the first one came out I think about 5 years ago, and
Sith
then
Jar Jar.
and the second one,
Clearar.
Clearar. That's not it. No one would name
Cal,
a game Clearar. Cal, yeah, that's him. That's him. Is it Fallen Order?
Fallen Order. You're right. It's
All right,
Fallen Order.
so I played the first game when it came out. Now, if you want to do lightsaber fighting, this is by far and away, Steve,
All right.
the absolute best.
I'll check it out.
And then I heard that the second one even ups the ante on that. So I think you should play both of those games. I'm just saying.
Right. I just want to respond to one thing because a couple of people
Yeah.
said that they didn't like Luke coming into the Mandalorian, and I totally get that. I think that it did derail it a bit. I agree with that. But I think what we're responding to is seeing Luke in his prime,
Yes.
post
There's-
Star Wars.
There's not enough of that.
Yeah.
There's not enough of
And-
him in his prime. What he
Yeah,
could
I mean,
do.
it was maybe a little bit jarring to happen within the it wasn't good for the Mandalorian, but it was good for we want to see.
Yeah.
We want to get our Jedi fix, and because you don't get that pretty much in any of the properties after Return of the Jedi.
Right.
I mean, how could they not feel? There's a huge swath of time.
There's 20 years in there.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, there's so many things that they could do there.
But they totally screwed up the lore now,
Yeah,
unless
they
they give a clean slate somehow. But
Yep.
which they're not going to do, right? I mean, if those movies are canon, that's not going to change probably.
Well, no, Disney won't do that. I mean, they built a theme park around.
I
it,
know,
Steve.
I know.
Forget
There's
it.
the one thing I didn't like about the theme park was that they built it around 7, 8, 9. But anyway, see, you bring up AQ6, and here we are talking about Star
I mean,
Wars.
what's that?
I mean, come
Off
on.
the rails.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Everybody.
it started,
All right,
it
so
started
let's do
with
something.
in the
a
most
Pirates
pleasant way.
T-shirt.
Let's do something more important. Hold on. Have you heard about the 10,000-year-old playground under the Pacific
I did
Ocean?
hear about that.
10,000-year-old
And I-
playground under the water.
And I got to tell
Pacific
you,
Ocean.
on first sniff, I think it's 100% BS.
All
Discovery
right.
of a 10,000-year-old playground under the Pacific Ocean has ignited a social media firestorm.
Hashtag Ocean Playground has gone viral, and it's sparking some pretty wild debates. There are even conspiracy theorists who claim it's an AI-generated hoax.
The fact of the matter is somebody made up some crazy ass story about a playground at the bottom of the ocean and put some AI razzle dazzle on it.
That could have been
and
fake.
Now it's a social media sharing event.
Yeah, we are cooked, bruh. People think real news is AI because everything's AI now.
Claims are being made that people don't know the difference between what's reality and what's AI.
AI is getting scary because you don't know what's real anymore.
I think she's
Not
AI.
everything is
AI.
AI, people. Like, what's next? You think I'm AI too?
Despite
He
the
is.
controversy, the research team states
Okay,
that they
so
are
it's fake.
glad their discovery has captured so much attention, and that they are optimistic and excited about what else they'll discover down at hashtag Ocean Playground.
How many lights do they have on that damn thing? Come
So
on.
The
yeah, this
discovery
is
of
this apparently this whole video, except with maybe the exception of this guy,
And put some AI.
is AI.
Yeah.
And,
Everything.
This is
Yeah, we
AI,
are
which is
cooked.
pretty epically. It's
that's
pretty
good
good.
shit.
It's unfortunately.
Yeah, that
Bruh,
tie
people
dyeing is
think
too
real news is
symmetrical.
You
AI
can see the
because
interviewer
everything's
in his
AI.
glasses. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's also like you
Yeah,
can't
right,
really
good catch.
tell what the interviewer is because it looks like a blob of
Well, it's
meat
definitely
or
an
something.
alien.
He looks like Evan.
The interviewer? Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's like it looks like Adam Savage.
No, I said Evan.
Oh, Evan.
Claims
okay.
are being made that people don't know the difference between what's
All right,
reality
enough of that.
Yeah, so all of these are.
and what's
Getting scary.
It's that's pretty.
That's
She's
great
AI.
that everyone's in AI. I love it, except
Yeah,
that maybe
it's
that
pretty-
dude.
You know what tipped me off in that picture right there?
yeah.
The ABC.
It's too.
It just
weird looking.
it just has the AI vibe to it.
Yeah, it's a little
It's so-
too round.
Yeah,
mm,
it's a little
mushy.
subtle, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, everything's a
It's-
little. There's a
it's-
polish on AI that's weird.
Yeah, it makes me sad though because I see things that could absolutely be real, but I just default to like it's probably AI,
You
and then
can't believe
then I
any
go
of it.
You have to
past
vet
it.
anything important. You got to
Yeah.
vet it.
Yeah.
But even if it's not important, just something cool. It's like, oh, it's probably AI. That's too cool to be real, and I go on, and it might be real, and I won't appreciate it because I'm just defaulting to AI.
That's the world we are rapidly hurtling
Yes.
towards.
Yeah.
Where nothing.
Good thing the government is really cranking down on that regulation, man, to protect us all from this runaway technology.
We can't talk about the government, Jake. We're biased.
Bias.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, the damn government. You're okay when they... Okay. Anyway, let's look at what she has to say.
AI.
No. Unfortunately, no.
Who knows?
The reason they tell us the truth in movies and TV shows
Yes.
is because it's tell vision. They're
Right.
telling us what they're going to do in the future.
Yep.
That's why it's called television programming.
Sorry.
How am I just now realizing this?
Yeah. Thoughts?
So profound, I can't comment.
Yeah, what's her point?
Television. That's how the word came to. I don't know. Somebody tagged us and they were like, "Please just look at this," and I begrudgingly did. All right, let's get to some funny stuff and then we'll do some more depressing stuff. Here we go.
Okay.
Let's see. Inventing the clock. You guys, how do you think the clock was invented?
Oh, it goes back like thousands.
It goes
of years.
back in time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look.
I got this new
Did it
invention.
start with the sundial?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But let's see.
We had water clocks.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Sand
okay.
clocks.
Well, actually, I think this is the
I
history.
got this new invention. Shit, let's
Then
hear it. It's
pendulum
called a
clock.
clock. Okay. It's gonna reflect how we keep track of the time of day. I'm gonna put 12 numbers on it. So the day's gonna be cut into 12 parts. Nah, 24. Okay, so the day starts at 1? Nah, it's gonna start at 12, which is at night. The day's gonna start at night. Yeah. The 6 means 30. Okay. But for real. And then you see how I put 2 hands on it? This is where it get interesting. The little hand keeps track of the bigger increment of time. The other hand keep track of the lesser increment of time. What about that hand? Right there. Oh, that one right there? Yeah, that one. It's called the second hand. Sounds like a good idea to me, bro.
I don't know.
I love when people get the insight to look at something that we're all 100% cooked and used to.
Yeah.
And it is ridiculous.
It's kind of silly.
It is.
But there
If
is
you- There's a reason.
There's a reason for
but-
it. There's a history.
Yes.
I'm
that's
I'm
common.
But
riffing
why
off
12?
the top of
Why
my
does it
head.
have to be 12?
12's a great number. Why is it 12 inches in a foot? It's divisible by 1, 2, 3,
and
4,
four.
6.
Yes.
So it's very mathematically
12.
useful.
It's wonderful that way.
Same thing with 60. Why are there 60 degrees in an arc? Why are there 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour? And they add up to 360. I think I'm just going on a vague memory. I think it's all Assyrian. You can check me on that, Ian.
Then they do the counting.
Babylonian? Is it Babylonian?
Don't they count with their finger like full right?
But again, it's
or whatever.
mathematical.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is.
degrees
I get
and
it,
degrees
I
and
get it.
arcs. I think that's
Because
Babylonian.
again, it's like divisible by a lot of different numbers.
Right.
You
But
know what
they
I
could.
mean?
They
That
should,
makes a lot of
I
sense.
would have. I wish we stuck with the military time. 24-hour clock. I
Yeah.
think would make so
It's
much
more
more
accurate.
sense. So
It's more accurate. You
Don't
can
get
tell
rid of
someone
the-
what time it is.
It's
And
ambiguous.
well, that's why the military use it because there's no ambiguity. You know.
But AM and PM
PM.
is no
Base 12 is
ambiguity either.
Egyptian, Babylonian, and Chinese.
Egyptian,
Base
Babylonian.
12 county. That's what you're talking about.
what do you guys
right?
think about
It has much more potential for ambiguity.
Sumerian? Oh, maybe.
the fact that the world is not, the clocks are different depending on what time zone you're in, right?
Yeah. We
And-
talked about this.
Yeah, I don't like it. But anyway,
North Pole.
What?
it's okay, Steve. The North Pole.
Okay. The North Pole. Does it exist?
Yeah, the North Pole.
We don't know.
I mean, there's no other option. I mean, you can have everyone have the same time, but then it's going to be 2 in the morning in somebody's afternoon, and
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, we should.
They just have-
metric. We should go to metric. Metric time, please. Okay, thanks.
And why doesn't
Thanks,
each
Europe.
month have the same number of days? Now, what the hell's that about?
Why doesn't it?
Yeah, why don't we? Why is some?
I think you can, but doesn't it make it like weird? Like in the day changes oddly. Then I don't know. There's something.
Nobody,
there's
they
something
don't
weird.
care. Whoever made that up, they're laughing.
you could. I
at
mean,
us.
you could come up
Whatever.
with another system. Like, what would it be? Like 12, 20. There is some other
There's
system.
like
You could have, like
13
12 months. They would all be. How many days would that be per month?
Or they could
12
they
would
could
be-
just have.
Or you could have 10 months of 36 days.
Yeah,
or
something like
So
that.
yeah, I mean,
Like that,
whatever.
yeah,
There's
it's
no
like
right or wrong answer to
weird.
that.
But or they could just have like if 1 month has to absorb some of the oddball numbers.
Yeah.
You know, just have it be 1 month. You know, whatever. It's okay.
But again,
We're all
12
good.
months is good because you can get 3 months per season, 4 seasons per year.
Yeah, it's
6
all about
months is a
TV.
half
You're
a
right. It's
year.
all about TV shows.
Television programming. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to some other fun stuff. Here's a fun one.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Japanese game shows.
I
You guys
love it.
like Japanese game shows?
What is better than Japanese game shows?
Like, it's one of the best. One of the best. Here we go.
Oh, dude, that's right.
What did you walk through this? Huh? Oh shit!
Look at that
Crowd
cut out for
goes
the hair.
wild.
It's great too.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Oh, good thing he made it.
Bro.
That would have killed him. Oh, forget it. I was going to break his neck.
Taking it.
Boom, boom.
I don't know why it's so amusing.
There was 2.
Come on now, Bob. What's going to happen? Is he going to break his neck?
I think it's going to take his head right off.
Steve, is this neurologically dangerous?
What are those things made of?
Strenuous.
I think it's cardboard.
What
Yeah,
a what a
probably
talent.
Oh,
But wasn't
wait.
there was a show I watched a couple of
Oh, I
episodes
pulled this
of,
from
like
the
Wall or
subreddit.
something?
Yeah.
Hole in
Yes,
the Wall?
the hole in the wall. That is.
Where it's the
the-
same thing, you got to sort of fit through
Oh, yeah, I saw
perfectly
that.
Like,
Or else it
like
knock-
Wile E.
It
Coyote.
knocks you in acidic water.
I gotta get off of this subreddit. I'm on gifs that end too soon. It is
No!
like it's
No,
it
goddamn.
gets me every time,
No,
and I'm like, oh,
I hate that.
Why would you even watch that?
I
Go,
know.
Go to that subreddit. That sounds
it
horrible.
pisses me off. Oh no, this one's from that too. Okay, well, whatever. Well, I'll watch a little bit of it. So this is a guy has something in his hand
Yeah.
that he's gonna throw in water.
Gonna skip it?
He has gloves on. What do you think he's holding?
Potassium?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
maybe EM
Or sodium,
sodium.
or magnesium.
Oh yeah, something that go boom.
Uranium.
Manganese.
Sodium and magnesium are the two that like burn, in water.
I'm gonna have to find the real link because
Watch
this
out.
is probably
I
gonna
hope his
stop.
hand doesn't
It's gonna
fall
like, he's gonna throw it and it's not gonna do anything. Okay, yeah, I hate this subreddit. I gotta
Somebody-
get off the subreddit.
Somebody
Hold on.
uploaded that, right?
Yeah,
Who would do that?
they
does
do
it
it
cut
on
off
for
like-
gifts that end too soon. I gotta get off it. I never remember, and it's okay. Here we go.
2, 1. Oh, that's a little.
No. Wonder how hurt you can
You know,
get.
Ian, I gotta say,
The
dude,
fish are pissed off.
Ian,
Huh?
you know, these gifts that end too soon thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Prefer it?
that's what put you on the map, dude.
That's true.
The watermelon incident was the ultimate in not seeing the end
That
of
was
the gift.
inadvertent. It was
that was an
organic.
inadvertent.
It was so awesome. It's still funny to me. Holy shit. that was
I assume in the comments somebody always posts, the complete video.
They try to, but if you get there too early, you have to go search for yourself, or you just have to wait. There, people put like the remind me bot in 3 hours when somebody will. Anyway, let's look at this optical illusion. What do you guys think of this?
I think seeing dots.
Yeah, you're seeing dots.
Unless there's nothing illusioning.
So if you
Oh.
look at, let me try to full screen it.
Yeah, what's the illusion?
So the illusion is if you're staring at the dots on the left-hand side, they appear above and below as you move your eyes up and down. But they're still there, but they're like they disappear. Do you notice that?
Yeah, so they are there if you zoom in.
Okay, let me try. I don't know if I
don't
zoom
see any
in
dots
more,
on the
maybe it
left.
has to be.
No,
you don't
in-
see any
in the
dots on the
In the
left.
center
In the
point.
apices?
In the pie.
There's a
center
dot
point.
here. There's a dot here. There's a dot here. Maybe it's far away and it's like.
Oh, I'm seeing one that doesn't have a dot.
Let me see if I zoom in. See, these are all the dots that are there on the left-hand side.
Okay.
So see, it's like they're all there, but if you zoom out and you just look,
You can only really see one or two in your vision.
yeah, if you look up and down this line, you should be able to see them kind of moving, like they're popping into existence.
Yes.
Maybe you need to be closer to the screen to
Yeah.
actually see it, because I feel like you guys are far away and it's like not revealing, right?
Hey, that's weird. If you squint, you don't see any dots on the left.
That's true. Yeah, squint your eyes and they kind of all merge into just a grid. The one and on the right.
We have such a constructed reality, man.
Anyway, I think people who are watching this on your phone where you can get up close, you probably see it better than the guys in the studio because the screen is
Yeah,
far
I
away
only
from
see
them.
the dots right where I'm looking.
Yeah, exactly. Right where you're looking, you see those dots, but then as you move up, like with your eyes, you can start seeing them like here maybe, but you don't see them underneath. Like your peripheral vision just kind of blends them out.
Why are there dots on the right-hand side?
I don't know if that's part of the illusion. It doesn't seem to affect it. I tried covering it, and it doesn't seem to do anything. How I guess if you look at the dots on the right, they all disappear on the left. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's cool.
Anyway, that's just like a fun little thing. Here's a thing about snakes. Are you guys familiar with the critically
Snakes?
endangered snakes?
I know all
There's a
about snakes.
critically endangered snake here.
Uh-oh. And what is that, python? What is
It's
it?
like a cobra.
Good job, Steve. Okay. It's a good thing. It's a good.
Impromptu. Who's that noisy?
It's a good thing. That snake actually is cute. It's a good thing that snakes don't make that noise because people would get bit a lot more.
What's he doing? Was he defanged?
No.
No, he's smelling, right? Don't they smell with their?
No, the guy's holding a cobra.
Oh,
If they're
like
well
he's a
fed,
dumb-
if they're well fed, they're not gonna.
Yeah, I guess he's a friend. He's a friend.
Yeah,
snake.
Yeah, snakes
Anyway,
don't really
sorry.
get to know you though. That's the thing. That animal does not get to know you.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's from what I read. You know, I'm not a snakeologist.
I just saw a whole
Snake
documentary on
rocket.
Roy Horn, the Siegfried and Roy, when
Yeah.
he got chomped on by his tiger.
Yeah, what was the reason?
Well,
Covered in peanut butter.
the
He's
funny
a wild animal.
Yeah, that's the reason. It was a wild animal. But the interesting thing that I wasn't aware of was that Siegfried and Roy said, ever since it happened or soon after it happened, that crazy stuff, like things like the tiger knew that Roy Horn had high blood pressure and he was about to have a stroke, so he relieved some pressure. That's why he bit his neck.
That's nonsense.
Well, of course.
What?
That's utter, of
freaking
course.
crazy.
On its face, ridiculous. But I wasn't aware that they were actually pushing that story, or that it was that Roy Horn fell down and he grabbed him like a cub. You know, they pick up a cub
the
by the
nape of the
neck
neck.
to drag him to the back of the stage to be helped because he passed out. And
No,
it's
that's
like,
not what happened.
So it's just so ridiculous. And you can't get the tape. You can't see the tape. The tape
Yeah, I'm sure.
is
Gone from the internet.
It never was on the internet.
I saw
They never
something
released
about
it.
it.
That's crazy.
They had something.
At the time, I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
There was something.
No,
where
you
they-
didn't see.
I feel like I saw something from the audience, or is this a Mandela effect? Maybe.
No, there were no. This is 2003, so there were no video cameras. Really, weren't much of a thing in 2003, right?
Well, no, there were video cameras, but I mean
In the on the phone cameras, I mean.
I don't know.
Well, there are no.
It'd be pretty shitty.
There were no videos of it.
Yeah.
There were no videos of it. I know that after watching the documentary.
I don't know why that video reminded me of this, but does anybody remember Odd Todd, the website?
Odd Todd?
That
No.
sounds.
Anybody? No.
Am I thinking of a Garbage Pail Kid?
No.
Odd Todd.
No. So it was all done in Flash, the whole
Oh.
thing, and the guy would make. He had a cartoon series that he did about. Yeah, he had characters, and he came up with Elf Up. You ever hear Elf Up? Elf Up?
I heard of Alpha.
You've heard of that, Ian?
It sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've. Is it appropriate to play on the stream, or is it?
You couldn't. I don't. Well, I don't.
Way
you can't-
back?
You can't go to the yes.
Oh, it
Go to
doesn't
the way
even
back.
exist?
But can you see Flash on the way back? I don't think so.
That's a good point. No, I guess Flash is kind of a dead technology, right? Well, it still kind of exists, but
Yes, there you go. Odd Todd. I used to love that
Odd
website.
Todd.
This was early internet,
Are
and
you
it was.
telling a story about it? Or are you
No, I'm
talking
just.
about-
It just got reminded of it, and I thought people out there might remember.
Odd Todd Archive. Is it this
It was
guy?
just crazy shit on the internet.
This is it. This is him.
Is this the guy?
Yep.
Is there anyone that I should play?
Um,
Lobsters and Frogs Holiday
they're-
Spectacular.
They're all
kinda
too long. They're all too long to watch.
Yeah,
They're about 20 minutes.
This is
But
free. Oh, this is 59 seconds. We
Go
can
ahead,
watch
let's
that
see
one.
it.
Let's
It's
see
all
this one.
animated video.
Lobster.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8's the meal.
Mazel. Lobster and Shirley. Starring Lobster, okay.
I don't think Odd Todd made this.
Okay, well, episode 29, Lobster and Shirley. It's probably just a goof.
Mhm.
Also, why am I on Rumble? Get the hell off of this
Rumble.
site. Ugh. All right.
Is it bread time?
Almost. Hold on. There's a few more little things. Bob, do you want to tell us about the moon?
Oh yeah.
You want to talk
This
about
this
the
guy was
moon?
weird because he was throwing out some what seemed like facts, but also his implications. He seemed to be implying some weird stuff.
Yeah, here, let's
It's pretty
let's play it
quick.
and tell me when to
Hard
pause.
evidence or not, the moon is weird.
A challenge. Is the moon weird, Bob?
To who? About what?
Just
what
in
you
general.
said?
Based on what standard?
It's wonderfully
just any standard, I
unusual.
guess. It's wonderfully okay. look at this.
No matter how wide a crater is, the depths are pretty uniform. It rings like a bell for hours when struck.
Anything to say on that? Does it ring for a bell?
I honestly don't know.
Just like any planet does.
Yeah, I think it absolutely
it's a solid.
does.
It's a solid, world. It will. Yes, it will vibrate if
the
it's
Earth.
struck.
The Earth would do the same. I mean, we could detect vibrations of things happening on the Earth. That's how we know about the interior of the Earth is by these vibrations, these psychic vibrations that go through the planet. So yeah, that's legit.
Weirdest cheese formation ever. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Space cheese. That is weird. All right, here we go.
It's too large and too close to the Earth. No.
Is it too large and too close to the Earth, Bob?
The word "too" is the problematic word in that sentence. It is large. I mean, it's large and close to the Earth potentially compared to most other moons in the solar system. But "too" means, what does that even mean? Too large. It's moving away. It used to be 15 times bigger in the sky. Its apparent size was
15
literally
time or
15 times wider.
What?
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
And it's been moving away.
Well, I think because it's
tidal breaking.
Why it's not typical for other moons in this solar system.
Well, it's formation.
Yes, this formation. So some moons are captured asteroids, right? Like Phobos and Deimos of Mars. They're small asteroid-like moons. The Galilean satellites are like Jupiter, like the big moons of the outer gas giants.
They probably captured most of those.
They probably also could have formed in place.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Earth's moon probably was neither captured nor formed in place. The prevailing theory is that it resulted from an impact of Earth prime and then like a Mars-like planet
called Theia.
Yeah, they smashed into each other 4.5 billion years ago, and the moon formed out of some of that material that was ejected basically into orbit around the Earth. So it's got some material from Theia, some from Earth. And it's big and close. These are all a manifestation of that.
Right, and some scientists think that 2 moons were actually formed.
That eventually just...
That within a century collided back together, which is actually referenced, I think, in the
other
later
planet in our
video.
solar system or any other solar system has a moon like ours. The moon should...
I mean, any other solar system. What? How could that possibly be true? Do we know every other moon
that's
that
it.
is?
We know basically nothing about moons around exoplanets.
Somebody in the chat said that we should have given the moon a better name, and I agree.
Yeah.
Other than the moon?
Yeah.
I mean, Luna is kind of pretty.
Luna
Like,
is,
that's
yeah,
kinda,
I think that's kind of like its secondary handle, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's like
Shouldn't even
our
be there.
sun's name is the sun,
That's
or
true.
Sol. That's
Soul.
well.
Soul is pretty
Sol.
cool. Soul.
Sol.
Better
Sol.
call Soul.
Hello, Moon Theory Link on the deal.
He's talking to fish now.
He's talking about fish.
And the far side is even stranger. It's
we go.
completely different from the side that faces us. We first learned this in 1959.
That makes it
That's
seem
when
like
the
the moon
Soviet
is a lot
space
closer
probe
to the
Luna
Earth.
3 took the
Most people
first
think the
pictures
moon
of the
is
moon.
much closer to the Earth.
It's like 20 Earth diameters, I think.
30.
30.
30 Earth diameters away.
So he makes a point here that I wasn't aware of, actually.
Here we go.
It's paler. Its craters are several miles wide and completely cover the entire back surface. The crust is 30 miles thicker than the crust on the side that we see.
Right there. I wasn't aware that it was that much thicker on the far side. And the reason that I came across was that after the moon formed, of course, Earth was recovering from that strike from a Mars-sized planet. So it was still like a molten Earth. And before the Earth cooled, the moon was tidally locked, so one face was facing the Earth, and that extra heat, apparently, from the Earth was actually delaying the cooling of the crust on the near side, and the far side cooled a lot quicker and a lot earlier, so that made the crust, it made it a lot thicker. So I wasn't aware of that. Interesting. It sounds reasonable. But I think that probably explains maybe the Maria, the lack of the Maria, the seas, the basaltic lava that kind of that erupted and settled down into the seas. Maria. Okay.
Scientists theorized the moon formed from 2 separate moons that slowly collided into one. But it's odd that one side of the separation perfectly faces us and the other side is perfectly hidden. That's a strangely accurate space collision.
Oh, so this
How did you
theory
interpret
says the
that?
moon is like a McDeal.
Anyway.
That doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
Linking the collision and the tidal locking of the moon to the Earth, how is that even related? I mean, the two moons collided. They formed the present-day moon, and then
That's no moon.
and then did that and then the moon became totally locked. I mean, I don't think the two moons hitting the precision of that collision means anything in terms
Yeah.
of tidal locking. Whatever. I don't know what he's getting to.
All right, before we click into
All right,
the
so
next
that's
thing.
that's it. That's
Okay.
it for that
Somebody
guy.
in the chat made a statement, and I
no.
confirmed it that Brian Wilson died today.
Oh, really? Of the
Of the Beach Boys.
Beach Boys,
He's the
yeah.
guy that wrote those songs. I mean, and he was a freaking genius.
Yeah,
and
82.
Inspired
82,
so
not
many
bad.
people.
That's a
Not
good
bad.
run.
Get into your 80s. That's pretty
Even
good.
he even inspired the Beatles.
Also, Sly Stone died. Did you hear?
Oh no!
Yeah,
Today?
like of no, like 2 days ago,
I missed
June
that.
9th. Yeah, Sly Stone and the family. You know,
Oh
Sly
wow!
and the Family.
Yeah,
Stone.
he was awesome too.
Pretty epic songwriter.
Yep.
So 2 heavy hitters.
Yeah,
in the space of 2 days.
Yeah, both of them,
Crazy.
you know, were Brian Wilson basically created the California sound. You know,
Yeah.
that was him. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And Sly Stone, man. I mean, if you like funk music,
Yeah, he's like all funk derives from Sly Stone.
Pretty
I think.
much,
I'm
Really?
pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah, like
He
he
was the
pretty
father
much
of
invented
funk.
it. Yeah,
Feel the funk.
pretty much invented it.
I used to
He's
listen.
pretty
I was all into
forward-thinking.
him 30 years ago. God, I was all over that stuff.
Hell yeah. All right, let's look at some other stuff before we click over into what we're eventually gonna do because we know what it
To
is.
bread.
Hey, billions of people.
Mhm.
Billion in general, a number. Is it made up? How could we know? Are they lying to us? Maybe. Let's learn more. Let's learn more about this. 8
It's
billion
my
people.
favorite new conspiracy theory.
Oh no.
There are nowhere near 8 billion people on Earth.
Ooh.
Are you going to assume that like we're all comparing notes accurately with the rest of the world? And honestly, like people aren't lying about this? Like how do we
And if you want to boost up your stats, do like, dude, China, 4 billion people over there. You're like, I don't know. I've seen some of those travel vlogs. Doesn't look that busy.
Right.
The United States has the most advanced
So dumb.
counting system, or at least one of them. We do it by like they send you a census.
Right.
You know who else? You know the first census. Jesus, dude.
yeah.
We're still doing
That's
the
right.
Jesus technology.
first
Yeah.
census?
I would say we're probably at like less than a billion people.
I would say less than a billion.
Yeah.
1 billion. Oh my.
Good. At least he sounded skeptical. I mean, the estimates that I ran across is that of course, we're not precise, but it's within fairly precise, or within 2 or 3%.
Yeah, that's
so we
pretty good.
so we could have hit. One guy was saying we could have hit 8 billion a couple of years ago, or maybe next year, type of thing. So it's just like there's some variance there, but it's still somewhat accurate.
We're
And
not off by an order
yeah,
of
we're not.
magnitude.
Yeah, we're not off. It's not less than 1 billion. That's just ridiculous.
I mean, this guy clearly, people who don't believe that, they clearly have not gone to Disney. Because there's
Or
a couple
India, or
billion
China.
people
Or
in
China.
Disney right now.
There's a lot of people in China.
All right, so I have a
China.
question for you, Ian.
Oh Lord. Yes, sir.
Will it bread?
Oh, okay. You get, chat is sometimes, well, people on Reddit sometimes are like, Jay wants bread all the time.
I do.
I'm trying to give them content, and Jay is always talking
I'm a
about
fan.
bread.
I'm a fan of two things: bread and eating.
Oh, well, you put them together. Wait, Bob, did you want to make tea? Should we do that? I have like 2 more little videos while we heat up some water, or what do you think? Or you want to just microwave it?
Do you want to do
Yeah,
it?
take me 2 seconds. Make it pop up while you play
Not
the
tea.
video.
We need coffee.
Yeah, it's dumb videos.
I got a mug of coffee ready.
Here,
to
you
go.
pick which one you want to do. Do you want to do flat Earth, or do you want to talk
do the flat
about
I
corpus
saw that
callosum?
video.
Flat Earth is better than corpus callosum. Yeah, let's do the flat Earth. That's where you can have the neurologist.
be So play it.
a lot of some water.
While I throw some water in.
Yeah, and you guys
I
can.
can get my stuff ready too. Jay, you're on.
Well, okay,
crap.
this is what I've been waiting for. All right.
It's time for Jay.
So, Ian, going all the way back.
Uh-huh,
Okay,
so-
and I mean all the way back.
Sure, America, mistake or not? Okay.
It depends on what happens over the next 3.5 years.
Do we want to do flat Earth, or you had some other pontifications you wanted to do?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, let's watch this guy. So.
Of globe anti-flat earthers, and even some flat earthers will say the sun's 3,000 miles high and 30 miles wide. That works, but it could be 1,500 miles wide and 15 miles wide, or it could be 7,500 miles high and 7.5 miles wide. Scaling
Roseanne
variance,
Barr,
we
by the
don't
way.
know. I'm making no claims on what the sun is, where it is, other than it's a local light, which we can prove by its rays. Go out on a moonlit night when there's scattered clouds, and you'll see that the moon is only lighting the clouds that are right next to it.
All right.
If it was a
This
quarter
bothers
of a,
me
Okay, go ahead.
in so many ways.
All right, go ahead.
Because anybody that has a basic understanding of science and that can actually, research the claims, right?
Uh-huh.
They've been disproven. These claims have been disproven by so many different people, every which way. But this is what, as James Randi would say, this is an unsinkable rubber ducky. Like it's never going to go away. Some people think all these flat earthers are trolling and all that. I don't think so. I mean, some people believe in some crazy stuff. So, I've heard this a million times before, I can prove it, and the fact of the matter is it's complete nonsense. And we could take any one of their claims. We could look it up online ourselves. We could do it live on the show. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, ostensibly we know it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they're full of shit, that these claims they're so easily disprovable. We actually interviewed Dr. Dave.
Dr. Dave.
Remember him?
Vaguely?
Yeah, so Dave he's a huge YouTuber.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes,
and he went head to head with flat earthers early on in his YouTube years,
yes.
and he just destroyed their position, So again, this is some new guy, I've never seen him. He's the new kid in town, as far as I know, and he's saying the same old crap, and he's trying to disqualify science and trying to say that he knows better than all of the people who study physics and celestial bodies. All of those people are wrong, and he's right, and that is so profoundly absurd.
Yeah, there's a height of arrogance in that statement. It's just like. Either that or that, you believe in such a grand conspiracy. It's kind of wacky.
Professor Dave, thank you.
Professor Dave.
Professor Dave. So the interesting thing though about this is, people like this, in my opinion, and not all of them, but I think the majority of them fall into some neat categories, and one of them is that they get attracted to these types of things, right? These types of conspiracy theories for psychological reasons. Like one of them is that, they needed something to make them feel special. They needed something to give their life some type of meaning, and you can easily attach yourself to conspiracy theories because you feel like you're the few who are in the know, who really understand what's going on, and like the rest of the world is duped. And that, imagine if you really believe that. I kind of believe that with skepticism in a way, you know what I mean? But I'm not taking it to a crazy degree. Like I definitely think that people who understand critical thinking and have studied science, we have a perception of the world that is quite different than a lot of other people. But still, this guy to me smacks of someone who needed something like this in his life, which I find kind of sad, because we know that he's wrong, right? It's just, again, there's so much proof out there. We don't even need to discuss the details anymore. But falling into this type of thing and not being able to rationalize your way out of it is a big problem. And a lot of people don't want to find their way out because they want that. They want that feeling of being special, Special. Right, Steve? People who believe in conspiracy theories, they like the feeling of them like they're in the know and the rest of the world doesn't know.
Absolutely. I mean, the grand conspiracy theory formula is that the world is divided up into the conspirators, right? Who are evil, people who
are manipulating everyone.
They're manipulating everyone, but they're simultaneously absolute powerful geniuses and complete morons, right? Then you have the sheeple,
that's
who just are like swallow what the TV tells them, and then you have the army of light who sees the conspiracy for what it is, and they're trying to save the world from it.
Light.
Yeah. So if you think that, if you're,
but my point was that there's a lot of people that believe in conspiracy theories that fall into the trap of conspiracy theories because of how it makes them feel.
Yeah, they're the army of light.
Yeah. Yeah, they feel like they're the few that are on.
As we've
side.
often said, these people need to find a LARP.
Yeah,
Play
they do.
a role-playing game. Get your fix. That way. Rather, they basically turn their life into a LARP.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And LARPing is way more fun than this nonsense.
Yeah, it's actually way more creative. It's a lot more fun.
This one does look better. Thank you so much.
Just separate your fantasy from reality.
Yes. Okay, so
Some
Bob
people do not
is
do
going to
that.
tell us all about.
Wait for the most important segment of the day.
Redemption.
Oh wait, not redemption. It's
Will
not
it
redemption.
bread?
Finish him.
It's just willow bread. I love bread. All right, come on in. Bring that bread in.
All right, Bob, quickly sit down and tell us all about this delicious Easter treat.
I have my SGU cup.
Let's do the little hold.
There you go.
It's a little bread moment. So here we go with the Bob on the bread mic.
All right, so this is what we call Paloma or Easter bread. We grew up with this on Easter. There would be an egg at the far end would be stuck in there, like a painted Easter egg.
Yeah.
And but I've been making it a couple of times a year for the past couple of years, and it's a tasty. It's like what would you call it? Like a sweet
bread.
It's kind of got the consistency of maybe perhaps a scone.
It has a scone like
it's scone-ish.
quality to it, yeah.
And it tastes. There's a lot of sugar in it, so it tastes kind of sweet. Not overly sweet, I don't think. But for me, this is the premier dunking bread. It goes so amazingly well with coffee or tea. It just soaks that up really good. You could dunk it, or you could take a bite and then take a sip. It's just so good. Here, I use this one. Pick up the other one. I put a wash on it before I baked it. That one I didn't put a wash on, and it just makes it look much more boring, right? I mean, just kind of like weirdly bland and plain. But it's just so tasty, and it also, of course, goes great with peanut butter.
Oh, I've never tried that.
Oh yeah, put some peanut butter on it.
Yeah, I
man.
want some peanut butter.
Yeah, come grab it.
I'll grab some. Well, let's look at some of the pictures while we're doing that. So you sent me some pictures of the process.
So I mean, yeah, it's simple. You just roll it out, and then you braid it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really simple. It can be quite sticky on the counter, so just throw some flour on there, and you just braid it. You could stick an egg in the open end if you. That was the tradition we did.
Yeah, I think
decades
here's
ago.
one with like a glaze. And,
Yeah.
and, hundreds and thousands, or I don't know what they call these periols or whatever, the little dot.
That's good with peanut butter, Bob. Whoa.
Oh yeah,
egg.
man.
Here
and
they are.
They're coming out. Now you can see the difference.
And what's the recipe for? What's the dough recipe?
The one on the left does not have the glaze, and the ones on the right do. And you can the glaze doesn't really add anything to it, the taste. But man, does it make it look a lot more
it's just
enticing.
It's just curb appeal.
So here's the actual recipe if y'all want. This is like a family recipe
Yeah,
too. Look at this. This is secret.
My mom wrote that about 40 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. About 4 decades
Only
ago.
chat gets this. Secret chat recipe time.
375.
Crisco.
But
classic.
It took more than 20 minutes. 25
I like
minutes
that this
or so.
changed from 7 to 5, maybe. I don't know, or is it 7? Or more.
It's a weird 9.
It's a weird 9. Oh, okay.
Where?
Last time I made it based
Stuck
on
one
this
down.
recipe too, and I did some
work.
grated orange into it to make it like a little orange flavored
Ooh.
one.
Oh, yeah.
That was
I've
pretty
tried
good
that.
too.
Yep.
That was pretty good. Cadbury eggs, somebody said at the end of it. No, not Cadbury egg. Although that would be pretty good too, but I don't know about Cadbury eggs being
It's
the main thing. All right, take a screenshot, chat, if you want that. It says lightly greased cookie sheet, and it says coat with egg wash. If you can't read that on YouTube.
I really like this bread. I wonder how much. I wonder if I only like it because we grew up on it.
Yeah, if it's like nostalgia.
No, man.
Let me try it.
Bob's like, no.
It is objectively one of the best dunking foods I've ever had.
Crisco will kill you. Crisco is literally like a super villain for your arteries.
Nah, it's fine.
Crisco's not great, but the amount you're actually consuming is pretty tiny. Unless you eat a whole batch.
All right, let me get some peanut butter.
But even then.
You want the peanut butter? You want this, Bob?
Yeah, I'm going to put some peanut butter on.
You want peanut butter here? He's taking the knife out of the cheese. Is that enough?
What's in there? But
I like butter in your bread, boy. There you go. Okay. Steve, do you want peanut butter?
What is it, Ian?
Do you like
I'll
it,
tell
Mrs.
chat. Chat, do you know what it is? Give me the knife, please.
Bob.
Come on, chat. You got it. You got this. You're of age. You're of a certain age. It's not a super deep cut, but it's a little bit of a
Somebody
deep cut.
said use butter instead
It's
of lard. Try that
ridiculous.
next time on one, Bob.
I'm afraid
Maybe.
to.
Damn, that's good.
Better in what way?
Yeah, right.
I know,
Better for
Grimbeard.
you?
I know, Crisco. I know, dude.
Golden Child. There we go. Peter
What the
got
fuck
it.
is Crisco?
You remember Golden Child with the Eddie Murphy?
It's
Yeah,
the most
that was
hydrogenated
a-
substance on the earth.
That was a lame-ass movie.
You don't like the Golden Child?
It was okay.
Come on.
Even what's the actor's name? I forget.
I know the guy who is in Game of Thrones, right? Wasn't he the father?
No, but who's the main actor? I'm just
Oh,
saying.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. I saw an interview where he said he sleptwalked through that
He
movie.
phoned that fucker in.
He just phoned it in.
Yeah, no.
by
I
his own
think
admission.
It's like
there were some cute parts of it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, I saw a video.
Fun, campy movie, but it's
very
not a great
camp.
movie.
But it's like of that era of like Eddie
I
Murphy
mean-
could do no wrong. You know what I mean? He was just crushing movies.
It's no Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh right. Well, okay. Come on. I mean,
Wait, that
what do you
movie
want
didn't
from
hold
me?
up much either.
Yeah, it did. Just
No.
It's good. It's just weird.
Dunkability, it's a 10.
Oh, that's a 10.
The mixture of these
10.
two flavors really works. All right, so you know the movie
Yes.
with Eddie Murphy where
Sure.
boy, he's a police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't Trading Spaces.
Beverly Hills Cop.
48
He's Beverly
hours?
Hills Cop. Now you remember Serge? What
Yes.
is that guy? Okay. I just saw an interview with the actor who played him.
Yeah, he had the sitcom.
Had the TV show. Well, the TV show happened because of this tiny. So what happened was he was talking to the director, and the director didn't like what was in the script, and he wanted to change it. Instead of Eddie Murphy's character like making fun of a guy that might be gay or whatever, but this definitely was a strange type of personality. So they're talking, and he's like, I need you to do something here. I don't even know like what the character should be. So the actor had to come up with it. So there was somebody he knew, some hairdresser he knew, that was basically what was this person, right? Very similar. So he copies that, and he ad-libbed. They ad-libbed it.
Don't be stupid.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So what happened
you're
was
talking about with the guy Balky, right?
Yeah, do you
From,
want to? Do
Perfect
you want to
Stranger?
play that bit?
I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know if it'll get copyrighted, but we can play it. Also, I want to play this real quick because this is when you said that, it made me think of this video, and people probably know what it is. Here we go.
So in tasting, what we do is take a small amount right off the top. It doesn't take much. That's the warmest part right here. I'm going to invert the spoon.
Invert.
Cover all 9,000 taste bud.
Okay.
Aerate it. Warm it up.
Aerate.
Driving up that top milk, that cream, pure vanilla, sweeteners.
I want to smack him.
That's funny. I like it. I want to try that technique.
Is he a food taster?
Yeah, for Briars, I think, or something like that. That's a classic
It's like, dude,
crazy video.
That's what coffee does. If you mix coffee with like chocolate or let's say like a Reese's candy, it kind of just melts the chocolate and spreads it out over your tongue. It makes the taste experience, I think, clearly it ramps it up beyond just eating the chocolate.
That was it.
If you haven't had a hot liquid with chocolate before,
I have.
Please try it. It's a
All right, let's see. Hopefully, we won't get copy striked.
All right, they improvise this.
Man, my name is Serge, and how can I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for Miss Jenny Summers.
She's very busy today.
She's very busy.
Maybe you give me your name?
My name's Axel Foley.
And what it's pertaining?
I didn't understand what you said.
He almost laughed.
Pertaining, what it's meaning, regarding.
Oh, what's it regarding? I'm an old acquaintance of hers.
Danae? One moment. Don't Brennan tell me Summers that Mr. Ahmed Foley is here to see...
Axel Foley. Axel.
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 Foley is here to see her. He's an old acquaintance. Donnie, cover this up.
It's
I'm
like
sorry.
the
I'm
brace
real
of
sorry.
a dog to scrub for the customer.
It's not sexy. It's animal.
No, it's not sexy at all.
May I offer you something to drink? Wine, a cocktail, espresso?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. You should try it.
No, I'm fine.
I see you look at this piece.
Yeah, I was wondering how much something like this went for.
$130,000. Get the fuck out of here! No, I cannot. It's serious because it's very important piece.
Have you ever sold one of these?
Sold it yesterday to a collector. Get the fuck out of here! Serious, I said it myself.
Axel Foley, what on earth are you doing here?
How you doing?
I'm fine. Hold.
All right, so what happened was he
What happened?
the reviewers, a lot of most people that saw the movie walked away going like, who was that guy? That was awesome. Like that's a very standout scene in the movie.
To stand out from Eddie Murphy is a feat, right? I mean, imagine you're standing out and he's kind of like the straight guy almost.
So he got like rave reviews, and then he started to get mobbed because he's very recognizable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So he made a bunch of teenage kids like came up to him, and he was worried. It was like I think it was the day after the movie came out, and he didn't know what was going on, you know, and he was worried because he's like, holy shit! Like this is. He thought it was danger, and they fanboyed on him like crazy. And then he got the TV show that was based off of that character.
Sure, yeah.
that he
Perfect
made up.
Strangers.
Yeah, which was.
I used to watch that
That
all
was
the
fun.
time. Oh my gosh, it's a classic.
Yeah, and they don't make movies like that anymore.
No, probably for good reason. But
Sarge.
I wonder how watchable it actually is at this point. But
I don't know.
I've seen his partner. He's done a couple of.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the Leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him there for a couple of episodes.
Mm-hmm. My favorite
Somewhere-
role of his is Noises Off. If anybody's ever seen that movie, you ever seen Noises Off?
Mm-mm.
It's like a Broadway goof. It's like play, but there's a movie about it with Michael Caine. Michael Caine. She was only 16 years old.
She was 16 years old.
She was only. All right. Let's move on. It's pretty funny.
Was there anything
we could
else?
do the Corpus Callosum one before we get to the TikToks. I don't know how you feel about that one, Steve, but
You want to do that, Steve?
Sure.
all right. It's a little,
So Kim Peek,
sensationalizing, obviously, but here, let's
so
go.
Kim Peek was born without a corpus callosum. Each hemisphere of his brain operated quite independently. He could read a page of a book. So he'd open a book, there'd be 2 pages visible. Each eye would read one of the pages. And he had like a perfect encyclopedic memory of like everything he'd ever read.
I was born on March 12th, 1933. What day of the week?
Sunday. You're 75 years old.
Unfortunately, that's right.
But at the same time, he had other debilitations, functioning socially, these sorts of things.
So, I mean,
yeah,
I never heard of somebody born without a corpus callosum. That's interesting to actually develop without it.
Yeah, it's called agenesis of the corpus callosum.
So what's his skinny? Like what's his life like differently than?
Well, real quick to my point, it doesn't make sense that you could read 2 different pages at the same time because you would need independent eye movement to track the words. I mean, right? That was just probably just an exaggeration.
So it's partially true. Again, I don't know this is what we do know. Again, people with either agenesis of the corpus callosum or with a severed corpus callosum surgically, well studied for decades.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And it is true that information in the 2 hemispheres can be compartmentalized because of that. Again, the corpus callosum is basically like a main cable that goes between the right and left hemisphere of the brain. It's not the only one. There's the anterior commissure. There's different connectors as well, but they're not as big. This is the main cable.
Okay.
Is the corpus callosum. So the thing is, you can't read with both hemispheres. So that makes me really dubious about that claim.
You mean at the same time?
No. I mean, only one of your hemispheres can read.
Which one is it?
It's your dominant hemisphere, which for most people is the left hemisphere.
Okay.
If you're left-handed, like
Yes,
you
yes.
have a higher percentage. You're still probably right hemisphere. I mean, left hemisphere dominant for language, but there's a higher percentage of it being in
So
the
what
right
do I have magic powers? What do I have?
So you could do experiments such as show and it's not the right and left eye, it's the right and left visual field, right? So like the right half of both eyes goes to the left hemisphere, the left visual field of both eyes goes to the right hemisphere. So if you have something over here, right? So not only my right hemisphere is seeing it, of course, it's communicating that information to my left hemisphere. So if I'm saying, like, what am I looking at? Like what is this thing in my left visual field?
Yeah.
That information goes to my right hemisphere visually, which then communicates it to my left hemisphere, which could say that's a phone, right? But if you don't have the corpus callosum, my left hemisphere doesn't know what that is, and so I can't say it.
But you might make something up, maybe?
So let's say I show somebody a can of Coke in their left hemisphere, and then I ask them to select an object with their right hand among multiple choices, and one of them is a can of Coke. They may choose the can of Coke.
But the reason.
But if you ask them, why did you do that, you're basically communicating with their left hemisphere, because that's the only one that talks, and the left hemisphere doesn't know, so it makes up a reason.
Okay.
So I was thirsty.
That's a very plausible.
That you
believe that the person.
Well,
and is it at that point that's when you shock them?
No.
So it's just it's a very informative set of experiments. But again, the idea I don't buy the memory thing at all. Because nobody has perfect memory.
No.
Can they have a normal life?
Yeah.
Somebody said it in the chat.
As long as you look right at, as long as you look at using both eyes.
First off,
and you don't imagine losing one eye would be.
It's not
devastating.
It's not eye. It's visual field.
Okay, that's true.
First,
I didn't know that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was the eye based, not visual field based.
No, it's visual field based. That's how
Chunky
we
is the best, I'm
know.
sorry.
I just had
That's
to go
so
over this
weird.
with a patient because they had ideas about what was causing their symptoms that were not true. But if you know how you have the two eyes, right? Then they have the optic nerves, which then cross in the optic chiasm, and then then you have the optic tracts, which go back to the visual cortex.
Right.
So if you have a lesion posterior to the chiasm, right after the chiasm, then that lesion will be in the visual field. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I have a lesion like behind the optic chiasm on the right, that'll be in my left visual field of both eyes. But if I have a lesion anterior to the chiasm, that'll be one eye. Right? So if your problem is in your right eye,
it's
your
before
right
the branch.
visual field, it's anterior to the optic chiasm. If it's in the right visual field of both eyes, it's posterior to the optic chiasm, which for many conditions means neurological, ophthalmological, right? Which is why we want to know about that. Because, there's the optic nerve, but then everything else is the eye, right? So if it's an eye problem, that's an ophthalmologist problem. But if it's the visual field problem, that's a neurological problem.
Steve, if somebody could shoot a laser beam out of their eye, would you send them to a neurologist or an ophthalmologist?
I would send them to the military.
To the military, okay.
Science fictionologist.
Science fictionologist.
You give them up that easily?
But you can't explain Superman, though, can you?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No. I could recite canon if that's what you're looking for.
A few things need to be said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat.
Do you like chunky peanut butter better than smooth?
I don't.
Thank you.
I like smooth better than chunky.
No, chunky's.
Chunky's good. It's fine.
Chunky's good.
I've still gone through phases in my life. Like I had a chunky phase, and now I'm kind of in a smooth phase.
But once I switched over to all natural, I hate to say this, but oh my God, Bob, did you buy this?
No.
Okay. Did you buy this, Steve?
No, I didn't buy that brand.
Watch this, guys.
GMOs? The GMOs.
Dry roasted ingredients. Dry roasted peanuts. That's great.
First ingredient. That means that there's
Second
more.
ingredient, sugar.
Yeah.
Third ingredient, hydrogenated vegetable oil.
Well.
I can't believe I ate this shit. Then it's got
Come on, it was delicious. You didn't have
rapeseed.
much.
Is it
Rapeseed.
Steve?
It's
called
rapeseed.
rapeseed.
Yeah.
We could say rapeseed.
Yeah,
That's
on
what it's called,
YouTube, if you
rapeseed.
say seed at the end, it's fine.
Cottonseed and soybean, molasses and salt. This, ladies and gentlemen, is garbage.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is garbage.
But it's fucking delicious.
I mean, it's sugar.
you're
It's like
overstating it.
it's also
it is.
yeah.
It's super sweet. I noticed that it was sweeter than my home stuff. So anyway,
there's more sugar.
I get peanut butter. It's a couple of brands I like. It has peanuts
Uh-huh.
and it has salt.
Salt.
Sure.
And that's
Jesus.
it. No sugar.
Yeah, that's good. That's
no oils. No added oils. It's
no
all
t-
peanuts.
no taste.
Seed oils are fine, which I just
No
forgot.
taste. You're totally wrong.
I know,
It-
I know,
it-
I know.
It has more of a peanut taste. This has a very sugary taste.
Y'all boys like boiled peanuts?
It's all good.
I've had boiled
it's all-
peanuts,
It's,
yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, don't say that because hydrogenated oil is fucking garbage, Bob.
Yeah, but how much?
This fucking.
You know, it's also about quantity. You could have what you had today. It's not going to be a problem.
It's not going to do anything. I know, but it's the aggregate because there's a lot of products that have it or that used to have it, and you got to keep it out of your diet. It's not something that anybody should be eating.
So not so good. Okay. Anyway, let's get to the important part. Where do we rank it?
Oh, Ian.
I know. I mean, this is 3 of you grew up on this bread. I
mean, the execution was 100%. It was that is
Thank you.
Paloma. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. No, it was as good as Paloma gets.
But
I wouldn't rate Paloma over some of the other experiences that we've had.
So, well, let's look at what we had. So, better than my semolina bread. I'll take that, absolutely.
Yes. Yep.
Better than the Japanese bread and the pow de queijo and the angel wings.
Can you zoom in just so we can see the pictures a little bit better?
They were angel wings. I'm sorry, all the ads, but they forced me to take the ad.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would say that
better than the focaccia scones and the tart.
No, I mean, I would put it in that.
I'd put it
second
in A.
row.
In A.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, but
those
also when I rank it, I'm thinking of the dunking, dunking it.
No, and that's Bob. That's why it gets
For
an A.
its intended use.
It's combination.
Yeah,
with,
without dunking, it's dry as hell.
Yeah, it's a scone. It's a scone.
You wouldn't
It's
eat
a
it.
scone.
It's not as good as a scone. Scones are better than this dry.
They are.
This is only edible when you dunk it, but that's what it's for.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still, even by itself, it is dry, but it's still kind of tasty. I mean, there's sugar in that.
tasty,
There's
but
like
you
a
gotta
cup of
gag
sugar
it
in there,
down.
half a cup of sugar.
Bob, I'm going to let you talk. But that thing that Ian made there with the jelly was the best freaking thing we had of all time.
Yeah.
Of all
Oh my
time.
God. Good.
You got that, Ian?
Yeah, very good.
Oh yeah, that
Good
shit. That was off the hook.
Steve and Bob had no idea what I just said. No, but I do think it's on par with the things in A, but not S.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the brown bread was pretty good.
Oh,
I would
yeah, that
say,
was-
and
that
your
was
bread,
very good.
Your bread is like off the chain. It's pretty epic.
I appreciate you
Off
saying
the
that.
chain?
Off the chain.
Hook. Off the hook.
Off the
Off the
hook. No, it's off the hizzy.
Off the hizzy.
Who was busting our
Off the
stones?
chain
Was
is
it Kara that was
Kara,
busting our
yeah.
stones about this? It's really weird when you get older, guys. Anybody out there who isn't old yet? When you get older, the world changes and you don't so much. And then everything that you are attuned to that made things make sense goes away. And you have people starting to tell you things like, what? Off the hook? What does that mean? You're like, what do
And then you
what-
get progressively grouchy and
yeah, and
curmudgeonly.
then- so it starts to anger you.
Eventually, you're like,
yelling.
get off my lawn.
And that's how you turn into the get off my lawn guy because you have been dissed
ALU.
so much, right, Steve? You've been dissed by what's a good adjective here that's back in the 80s? By
A jive turkey.
a jive turkey.
That's
Too
more
many,
70s.
That's more 70s,
but
but
we were
okay.
alive in the 70s, so too many jive turkeys
We were.
You call me a JT?
are harsh in your mellow,
Harsh in my mellow.
and you no longer matter anymore, and that's why you overeat.
You weren't culturally
Yes,
relevant.
I will continue to overeat until I die because I love eating.
But Off the Hook is a late 90s, early aughts saying
Yes.
that originated in urban culture.
But then they turned it
Almost
off to hizzy.
Off the hizzy.
Well, Off the Hizzy was an earlier, I think, niche offshoot, but didn't become as mainstream. Off the Hook became mainstream, which I think we absorbed because we are in a New York suburb,
so
basically.
Right.
And we have a very tight cultural association with New York urban culture.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Peter JV said we called it busting
Should
on. I'm not clear what you're saying.
Wow.
On that.
Busting on. I don't know if you
Busting
can say that
on somebody?
nowadays.
He said off the frame and busting on.
Off
I think
the
there was
frame.
a
Off the frame, I think, was a joke, but busting on.
Oh,
maybe?
okay. Well, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe because I said off the chain. Off the chain. is a
Todd
real
Todd Weekly. You guys remember
Yeah,
who
off the
Todd is?
chain
Todd's my
premium,
boy,
so
by the way. Todd. Oh my God.
Todd,
did I tell
yeah.
you? Todd, I forgot.
I didn't see you on there, Todd. How's it going, bro?
Todd, did I tell you that I found
Chugga.
the spoon and the one that you made? We need to talk. Jive Turkey needs to be
a
patron
Patreon
supporter.
support level.
Oh my God, you're so right. You're so
I
right.
might have to put that on YouTube. You jive turkey.
Turkey is like airplane.
That's
era.
right.
Making fun
I
of
dug her
someone was
rap.
busting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're
busting
busting
on
on
him.
them.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
in
We still say
context,
that.
I
I
get
absolutely
it.
remember
He was
that.
busting on me.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. Anyway, let's
clutch.
get to some
All right, so
TikToks.
you guys
we
are gonna do
doing-
your
so
thing.
fetch.
So
Fetch.
fetch. Stop trying to make fetch.
Yeah, Todd, I wanted to take. I took pictures. I was meaning to send them to you. So anyway, real quick, Todd helped us with the the Skeptical Caveman series.
You drove like 4 or 5
And
hours
Todd-
each way.
Todd
It was ridiculous.
Performed several miracles throughout the years that he helped us. But he. So what happened was Steve and I went and we bought this giant wooden spoon that was going to be Ock's mother's disciplining tool.
Yeah.
Okay. So I fashioned Ock the Skeptical Caveman a little bit around Conan the Barbarian. So the intro isn't of a sword being made, it's of that spoon being made. But we had the end product, but we didn't have iterations. So Todd made iterations. And he did it the weekend that we were shooting. So he was literally using, not tools that you would particularly, like using tools. And on top of that, we also wanted for us to chop the tree down to get the spoon wood from, which is the thing that we were pretending. I'm like, Todd, can you make an old caveman axe that literally has a stone attached to a stick? He did it, and it worked.
Did it.
We chopped the shit out of a tree with this handmade axe that he made out of wood and stones, and it worked.
I thought that was a myth.
No, dude. No, he did it. We tried. We couldn't believe. We were literally laughing as it wasn't breaking and actually successfully cutting through the wood. We were laughing.
Wow.
It was awesome. It was just so cool. I was very proud of him and very excited for humanity. No more.
No more excitement.
I'm
for
going to go.
humanity.
Everybody. Oh, hey, Keith. There's my boy right there, too. I gave him 30 minutes to make the axe, by the way.
30 minutes.
As we see the things in the United States getting really dark and crazy, the only thing that we can do other than protest and have our voices heard is we need to treat each other really well. We need to do acts of kindness to friends and family, people that we know, help somebody, do anything you can to make somebody's world a better place, because that's the little control that we have. You don't have to spend money or whatever.
And vote.
Yeah, vote, of course. But do something. Take some of your precious time and give it to somebody else and make them happy. Like Bob making this Paloma made 3 other people in this room very happy. I mean, as silly as that sounds, it's true, right? It was awesome. I love that. I only get this a couple times a year.
Yeah, if that, yeah.
Yeah, so this was a treat. Ian loves it now, and he's going to have... You're taking this one home over here.
Am I? Okay.
And Ian, throw away this peanut butter.
All right.
So please do that, guys. Be excellent to one another.
But if you can't do it, buy an STU mug.
You can only buy that in person. So
Very
all right.
good.
Yeah, we don't sell
Good
the good
promo.
stuff online because it
All
costs.
right, let me set up the TikTok.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Steve, I need to talk to you about what we talked about earlier.
Jay, I didn't show you what I made. The poopy. This. I made them wireless. No wire. Charge it. Pull it and it's all plugged in. And so I made a bunch of other functionality. So we're going to see you these two.
Yep.
No, I made them all. When did you have time to do this? The last 2 weeks. These were away. Like I made an alpha one for the next generation. For the next gen.
All right, who wants this?
I guess I'll take.
Ian, awesome.
Yeah, so we can take them with us. All right.
Enjoy, man.
Thank you.
I'll take the plate up.
Okay, I'll take this. Thank you.
Start at 7:30 tonight, or you start earlier?
Why would we start earlier? Do we have an interview? Why do you want to start earlier?
I liked it last time.
It's up to Kara.
All right, well, let's email that then. We'll look for an email. Right there for the email. Bye, kids. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, now we got rid of the riffraff.
Okay. What are we doing? Okay.
All right,
let me
what
fix
nonsense
the
are we going to debunk today,
Oh
Ian?
God, so much. So many nonsenses. All right, let's go here. There we go. We got him in the TikTok cam now. We got that one going.
That one
GIF.
TikTok's up to 8.8 million.
I know. It's still, people are finding it. It's not like as in the algorithm.
No
as
rhyme or
before,
reason.
but I don't know. We're trying to do the same things, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe I just have to post a ton. I have a bunch in the can that I'm just gonna maybe spam them.
Keep spreading the good word.
That's right. That's
of
it.
SGU on TikTok.
That's right. Keep telling people. All right, let me turn this down.
told somebody the other day I had TikTok videos.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you dance on TikTok? they only know of TikTok as dance videos.
I know. That's like so old school at this point.
I know. This was an old person who doesn't know what they're talking about. But yes.
That's that's like when it was still Musically, I think it was before. Chat remind me before it was TikTok. I think it was Musically. Anyway, all right, let's do this. So aliens apparently sent us a message. Let's get it started. Hold on, and I will shut up as soon as we get to the TikToks. Here we go.
So we have an answer from the aliens. We do. I know everyone's getting really, really frustrated with the, we have a lack of proof, but we actually don't have a lack of proof. There's a lot of proof, but this one is my favorite. This one is my favorite. It's the answer to the Arecibo message. And if you don't know, it was sent out by Dr. Frank Drake in 1974. And they sent out a message basically giving a rundown about our species. It goes through a number of things. First, it goes through numbers 1 through 10. That's because it's in binary code. So it shows, it's like a representation to give them an idea of what we're sending them and how to read it. And then it goes through all of the anatomic numbers. It goes through hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus. And carbon is pronounced in the message because we're carbon life forms, obviously. So it's telling them we're carbon life forms, and these are the main things that make up DNA, because those are the elements that make up DNA. And then it goes down, it shows a representation of our double helix DNA. And then it goes down a little bit further and it shows a representation of what the average human looks like and our average height. Population at the time of the message goes down a little bit further and it shows our solar system, starting with the sun, ending with Pluto, with our planet Earth that's pronounced a little bit to let them know, hey, this is the planet that we occupy. And then on the bottom, it shows the Arecibo telescope. And we sent this out not expecting a response from it for a very, very long time, because we sent it to the Hercules constellation. Yeah, we sent it to the Hercules constellation, and it would take I don't know, 5,000 years for them to even get it. And it was a ridiculous amount of time. Either way, to our surprise, on August 14th, 2001, we did receive a message. It was next to the Chilbotin radio telescope. And it was actually a face. It was a representation, it was a crop circle of a face of a gray alien.
Holy
And
that's probably good, right?
Yeah, actually, the part I wanted to show was when she shows the Arecibo crop circle.
Oh, then, okay. So 3 days later,
I would begin with
we
that.
get the Arecibo response. It's what they named the Arecibo response. And we're going to go through everything that the Arecibo response shows us, but basically it tells us that they're there and that they exist. And
all right, yeah, I'll cut it there.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, so at the end of the day, all this talk about aliens and everything comes down to the Arecibo response crop circle. This has, and she goes on to say, people say it's debunked. That's because it has been debunked. So first of all, a quick review of what crop circles are. This is a phenomenon that started in the 80s, maybe early 90s, and later it was revealed that two guys, Doug and Dave, started it. Like, they made the first crop circle. They invented the whole idea. It was done as a prank, as a hoax, and they did it for a while. But then it took off, right? It kind of took on a life of its own. A lot of people do it really kind of as an art form, and it is a kind of an interesting art form. Some people do, and sort of doing it in secret is part of the medium, right? It's part of what you do. And the techniques developed to make crop circles evolved over time. But there hasn't been any crop circle that could not be easily explained as people did it, right? People make crop circles. There's no evidence that this is alien communication in any way. And the stuff they point to is all just anomaly hunting. Like, look at the way that they're flattened down or whatever. It's like, okay, but you're just looking at it. It's like, that looks a little weird. Maybe aliens did it. There's no reason to think that therefore aliens did it. I once had someone say to me, they made a perfect circle. How could they possibly do that? A stick and a rope? You know, remember a compass? Like, you tie a string to your pencil and you could make a perfect circle. There are techniques you can use in order to make very regular, very precise creations like this. This is not you don't have to invoke aliens to explain crop circles. The Arecibo response as well is like, yeah, there's no reason why people could not have made that. So there's also the issue of, let's say, again, the Arecibo signal was sent out to, a M31 cluster in Sagittarius, 25,000 years from here. It's not even going to be there in 25,000 years when the signal gets there. It really was just a demonstration. It wasn't intended to be a serious communication with beings outside of Earth. But in any case, you have to hypothesize that someone intercepted it fairly close to the Earth, within a few light years or whatever, and then came to the Earth and and then chose to respond in a crop circle. They chose the aliens, instead of just sending back a signal or contacting us in some other way, said, "Oh, we're going to make pictures in crops," because apparently that's how people talk to each other. Because I don't know, maybe they observed they were crop circles. It makes no sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. Then if you look at the content of the Arecibo response crop circle, it is completely unimaginative, straight out of existing science fiction, right? Oh, it's silicon-based life. Not really that plausible when astrobiologists or people thinking about alternative biology have sort of examined that idea. Really plausible, but that idea has been out there for a long time. Like triple helix DNA, same thing, not a new idea. It's been out there for a long time. And then a typical gray alien, come on, that's hackneyed. That's complete nonsense. Aliens would look alien. They wouldn't just be people with big eyes and big heads, right? That is sort of the aliens are what to humans look like more advanced humans, right? It's completely based upon our own biology and our own cultural biases and our own sort of an innate sense of what looks, intelligent or whatever. The idea that there are aliens out there that actually look like little gray aliens is fantastical. It's complete nonsense. So the response was just stitching together a bunch of pre-existing tropes, basically alien tropes. Nothing surprising, nothing new, nothing even remotely interesting. So there's zero reason to believe that the Arecibo response crop circle, it was actually aliens trying to communicate with us. There's a lot of reasons to think that it's just a person-made crop circle. But some people look at that and they see proof of what they want to believe, or at least something interesting enough to break them out of their mundane daily lives, I suppose. But this is not a claim that should be taken seriously. And so there.
Was the audio cutting out, chat? If so, just restart YouTube. I think that happens occasionally. I don't think audio is cutting out.
Is everything good on our end?
It seems like it is, yeah.
All
and
right.
I have double audio backup, so it should be cool. Let's see. TikTok, you were fine with the audio, right? Yeah, I think so. Let me just fix this because I didn't write it. Okay, that was Aliens, the movie.
Prometheus, man.
Prometheus.
We're going to dump DNA into the ocean, and that's going to make human life 4 billion years in the future. Whatever, it makes no sense.
I guess, I don't know. It'll make a fish, maybe. Or a fish will eat it and quickly poop it out. Who knows what those engineers were up to. Let's see. All right, next one.
What's up next?
What's up? The Ford. There we go. This one, the Ford car. All right, let me just make sure we got this going. All right, stand by.
I was today years old when I found out that Ford designed cars to run on alcohol so people could have true energy independence and create their own fuel at home. But then Prohibition prohibited the production of ethanol. And then everyone turned to the gas. He was at like fighting with Standard Oil. Holy, I don't care anymore. I just don't care anymore because everything's a fucking lie.
Well, I guess apparently you don't care if what you believe is true or not, because what you said was basically wrong. But let's break this down a little bit. So it is true that the Ford Motor Company came out with an ethanol powered vehicle, the V8. It was, and this was, right around the time of Prohibition. They did it specifically because, first of all, there's a lot of experimenting going on. This is the early days of motor vehicles. There were still electric vehicles. Early on, there was even steam-powered cars, and of course, the gasoline internal combustion engine and other fuel sources that people were experimenting with. It was the early days, right? So yeah, they made an experimental ethanol-based vehicle, and they did it because farmers who grow a lot of crops could make their own ethanol on site and use that to power their vehicles. So that would be especially back in the day before there was an infrastructure of gas stations everywhere. If you're on a remote farm somewhere, being able to make your own fuel for your own vehicles is really convenient. So they did it. Ironically, the vehicle became popular among bootleggers because it was fast and it had a lot of carrying capacity for their product. So that was like another association with alcohol, because of that. All right, but did Prohibition ban the creation of ethanol? No, it didn't. The 18th Amendment banned the use of alcohol for consumption, right? It was about alcoholic drinks. You couldn't make alcohol that was intended to be consumed by people. It does not talk about ethanol for other purposes. And then when the Volstead Act was passed, which was basically the law enforcing the prohibition, it specifically says we're banning alcohol for consumption. Intoxicating beverages, which is the actual term that they used, right? It was a ban on intoxicating beverages. And they said we're going to regulate the production of alcohol so that it can be used for dyes and industry and fuel. They specifically said we're supporting the use of alcohol for fuel, the exact opposite of what this myth claims to be true. So it's simply not true. The reason why ethanol didn't take off as a preferred fuel for automobiles is a couple of reasons. One is ethanol has 30% less energy density than gasoline. Gasoline is just a really energy dense fluid. And so you get more bang for the buck, right? You get more miles per gallon out of gasoline than you do out of ethanol. But secondly, let's say, for example, we tried to run every car that's on the roads today on ethanol. There literally is not enough cropland in the world to meet the demand for ethanol that would create. We simply could not create enough ethanol to run a fleet. Could not happen. We need to pull gasoline out of the ground in order to have enough gasoline to power all of the internal combustion engine vehicles. So biofuels, never really going to be a significant player in terms of replacing gasoline. We simply don't have the farmland for it. We do not have the cropland for it. Maybe some niche applications, sure, absolutely. But we're better off going to battery electric vehicles. They're the most energy efficient. And maybe hydrogen. Hydrogen's never going to be as efficient as battery electric vehicles, BEVs. But again, there may be a niche for hydrogen. Biofuels, a niche at best. But no, this was not due to prohibition. No, this was not any kind of conspiracy. No, it had nothing to do with the oil industry, blocking a competitor. It just didn't win out technologically. It just wasn't practical in the same way that gasoline was, and that's why we're not all driving ethanol vehicles today.
right, cool. For
Right.
alcohol. Okay. All right, next one.
It was actually, I could have mentioned it. It was only fairly recently, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that we kind of crossed the line where ethanol as fuel was energy efficient. Like up until 80s or 90s or whatever, it sort of cost more energy to make a gallon of ethanol than you would get out of it as a fuel.
Interesting.
But with efficiency and improved, eventually it got to sort of close to parity, and now there's definitely an advantage. Like we get more energy out of the ethanol than we put into growing it and refining it and everything. But certainly back in the 20s, that was a lose-lose. That was not. It took a lot of energy to make that enough ethanol to use as for gasoline. It was only ever going to be used by a very small number of people.
Yeah.
Like farmers.
Like farmers, yeah, of course. Niche industry. All right, let's get into this one.
Yeah, this is a long one too, so got to pick kind of a sweet spot
All
there.
right, let's see. There's something obvious, like right in the. Let's pick around, jump around, maybe. Here we go.
So we've never found a mummy in a sarcophagus. They're granite boxes. These sarcophaguses are just a giant granite box that has been perfectly cut out of one giant slab of granite. So it's not 4 walls buckled together. It was a bowl cut out of a giant boulder. And then they smoothed out everything, made a perfect box out of one slab.
With sandpaper.
With sandpaper,
I'm
yeah.
assuming, right?
Keep in mind, these are just slaves with chisels.
Yes.
Okay? Even though granite is the second hardest stone on earth next to diamond. Therefore, you need a granite chisel or a diamond chisel to even pull this off. But then you think about it, it was perfectly shaped at 90-degree angles where we have to have laser precision accuracy to even determine the level of error on this.
Whoa.
So we can barely accomplish this to this day without our modern technology to help us do it. Okay? And even then, if you were to take this idea to a granite person, I forgot what they call these people, sorry. But if you took it to someone who cut rock and stone into different slabs, they would tell you what we're going to do is we're going to cut it into 4 or 5 pieces or whatever, and then we're just going to slap them and bolt them all together. Because we don't really have a way to just scoop that shit out.
Yeah, right. In a perfect,
smooth, polished, everything. And we're talking about 500 to 1,000 tons. And out of reference, our biggest crane today in modern technology can do 20 tons. 20 tons. These are 500 to 1,000 tons in these. And there's like many of them. We have found like 6 of these bitches in there. Okay?
Right, but when are they saying these things were built? Like
they would have said that like this would have been like the early dynasties. So like, you know what, 5, 6, 7,000 years ago, something like that.
Right.
4
And
or
we
5,000.
can't even do it today, thousands of years later.
Some of the stuff we could possibly do, a lot of it, no, we can't. There's just no way. I don't think we can cut out. Like maybe if we spent an abnormal amount of time and money to pull it off, we maybe could pull this off.
Right, but it came like straight from the bolt.
Yeah, I'll cut out a lot of the
Yeah.
detritus. All right, here we go. All right, we're rolling.
So more people talking about how impossible it was for people in the past to have made stuff out of stone. This is so tiresome. So first of all, just look it up. If you're interested in how the ancient Egyptians made their stuff, there's a whole science that explores this and we have a lot of information. One thing I think people don't realize is how long a period of time we're talking about, from like the early to the middle to the late Egyptian empire. This was, a couple of thousand years. We have a lot of artifacts. We have a lot of mummies, a lot of coffins and sarcophagi. Over time, we could see the evolution of the techniques that they used. We have sarcophagi that are partially completed. It's like they're halfway done, so we could see that's pretty good evidence to what methods they were using. And I love at the end there how he says, "Oh, well, maybe we could have done it if we had like a huge amount of time and resources to put into it." It's like, yeah, you think the Egyptian pharaohs had lots of time and resources to put into things like making their tombs? Like they had decades to do this, years at least, if not decades, depending on how long they lived. But they they had thousands of people who could work on building stuff that they want to do it. And again, it's no mystery here. We know a lot of the techniques that were used. They had, first of all, copper tools. They did use hammers and chisels. They did also use sand and grit. So one of the, like when they are cutting the straight lines, they would have basically what are called flat saws, so no teeth. And then they would put like quartz in the groove, and they would run the saw over the groove, over that grit, over that quartz, which would wear away the granite. Yes, it's a laborious process. That's how they did things. They brute forced it over years and decades, because that's how, if you're running an empire 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, that's how you got stuff done. And then they marvel at how polished it was. You know how they got the granite so polished? They polished it. They would polish it with gritty stuff. And yes, it would take time. So they would cut straight lines, and then they would polish it. They would chisel out the middle, and then they would polish it. And they could make very precise, very ornate stuff out of stone. It's not a mystery. So this just kind of marveling really from abject ignorance about how people did things in the past. When we have, for hundreds of years, we have scientists, archaeologists, historians who have made it their life's work to study the artifacts that we have and to try to piece together how these things were done. It's all that information is there. Just look it up if you're interested in ancient Egypt. He also makes another claim, which is just odd, that there were no mummies found in sarcophagi. It's just not true. Again, we have uncovered a large number of Egyptian mummies. So first of all, most of them are in a coffin. That's the thing. Like when you see like the covering that's sort of shaped like the person inside as they would be in life. That's made of wood and then ornately decorated with gold and painted, etc. Then that would be placed inside of a stone sarcophagus, which was usually red granite. Was like if you were wealthy and powerful, you would get red granite, but they also used limestone and other types of granite. And sometimes there was even nested sarcophagi, like they would be in more than one. That was the standard, and we found many of them. So this claim that there were no mummies inside the sarcophagi is just not true. Then again, they marvel at how they could have moved these sarcophagi. He straight up is wrong about the modern cranes, that we have cranes that could lift over 1,000 tons. I think he acknowledges that later in the comments. That's just a straight up mistake. But they had techniques too. And again, those techniques evolved over time. At one point, they encountered ancient Greece, and then they start using levers and other technology they didn't have early on in the process. But they could, move the slabs with pulleys and stuff, and even just with human labor by pushing it over wooden planks with wet sand to reduce the friction. And they would use sand in order to slowly lower it down into the level. You basically put it onto a bunch of sand, then you take the sand away in order to lower it down. Again, laborious, sure. Everything they did was laborious, but that's what they did. This was a major, massive, nationwide project, that they were engaged in to do this kind of stuff. So the information is all there. Look it up if you're curious. This sort of shooting from the hip, oh, how could this possibly have been? We don't know how. We couldn't do this today. It's all nonsense. This is just part of this narrative that aliens must have done it or whatever. They are lying to us. Again, there's this just deep-seated subculture on TikTok that whatever they say must not be true. It's all just childish conspiracy theories. This information is there. Just look it up.
All right.
Was that the third one?
That was the third
All right.
one.
We are done.
Lies.
Yeah, you know, wedges, pulleys, levers, the ancient machines. It's amazing what you could do if you have 1,000 slaves and the will to do it.
Or even
and
not
again,
just
there's even
slaves,
a
just like
question as to whether or not they were slaves or just
right.
low-paid workers.
Yeah, they could have been just artisans.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
were
the
just-
thing is, like, imagine that being your job, though.
Yeah.
For 40 years.
You have to
I
do
mean,
this
like,
for 40 years.
Oh my God.
Whatever, but it's a living. What are you
It's
gonna
a
do?
living. God, life is so easy now.
I know, it's probably better.
God.
That's the other thing. It's like there's such a point of privilege. And the guy says, like, incredulously, I guess you could have just, spent ridiculous amount of hours doing it. It's like, yeah, that's what they
Yeah,
did.
dude. That's what happened. I mean, it's like this guy just gets to sit in front of a mic. Go out and dust some sandstone or granite. Wear away some granite with your hands, dude.
Of course we could make it today. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, so that was fun. We got a fun little troll. Now a real troll. Anyway, let me just go ahead and do that. Thank you so much for your time. What else is happening this week? Friday, I think we're doing a stream, right? Are we okay for a stream? Or are we?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, so maybe we'll do a stream.
Yeah, Friday live stream is good.
Friday live stream, very good. And today is the record day for the podcast, so which comes out on Saturday. So make sure you're subscribed everywhere where you get your podcast.
We'll be out on Saturday, but once I retire, I'm probably going to move up the release date to Friday at noon.
Whoa, that's a major change.
I know, and after 20 years...
Or you could just record Friday night.
Because that way it frees up my weekends.
Yeah, that's true. That is actually a benefit.
I mean, I'll be able to, because we record on Wednesday. The only reason why it comes out on Saturday is because I work Thursday and Friday, and I need Saturday morning to do post-production.
Or at least you could edit it Friday. And
so I can edit it.
You could still post it on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
but why?
People don't,
Why
I
hold
don't
on
know.
to it at that point? If I can consistently do all of the post-production by Friday at noon, let's just make that the release day.
But also, if somebody's mic is not the same decibel range as the last week, we get an email. So I feel there's going to be somebody who's going to be upset. Whatever. It's fine. They'll deal with it. Change is good. All right, chatters.
All right.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
See you next
Thanks for
time.
being here.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye-bye.
All right.